Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Because most things come out there like $1,000 or something, aren't they, when they're brand new?
Oh yeah, like the drive that's in this computer. I think it's about £500, and NVMe 4 was out for about 12 months or something like that. And when they first came out, yeah, they were about 750 quid. Now, a SATA 4 drive, because SATA 5's out, I'm sure you could probably get one for 150 quid. Maybe not, maybe they're still expensive, I don't know.
Hi guys.
Hello, Adam.
Did you get
I'm just checking in. I'm rapping in a minute. But just seeing if you was all right, bro.
You still on holiday?
Yeah, got back next week. Back on Saturday. So
Lovely, very nice. Is it nice there?
fortnight. So it weren't as hot over the weekend. It was actually quite cool over the weekend. The UK was a lot hotter, but it's 36 here now. So just spot on.
That's what it was here over the weekend.
Nice day for going down some rapids in a raft.
Yeah, it's about the same here all weekend, about 36, which is sweltering for us.
Yeah, I was watching everybody melt. Yeah. Oh, it's awful in the UK. It's bearable here. But yeah, worse in the UK. But nah, cool. I'm just checking on you, bro. And Neil wanted a word. Are you jealous, Neil? It's not often, mate. I feel jealous that I have to post a picture, but I felt slightly inadequate there.
Picture of what? Am I missing something from yesterday, having not had a show?
Yeah, just go to Master B. No, just now. It was Free Willy. It's really childish. But it made me giggle. It's 10th here. Have you watched those videos by 10th that he's posted from some guy 7 months ago?
Is this what you're talking about? Sometimes life
Well
is
worth watching.
overwhelming. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the one above.
I've watched his videos, him talking to his labourers and the science one, I think. Not those ones you just mentioned, then.
Okay. So it's what is it? Killer whale with a giant erection.
Yeah. Have you seen that? I couldn't believe it. I know I'm childish. Even near approaching 50, something like that still makes me giggle.
What a hammer.
I like his Neil goes, it's got to be an Italian whale.
Well, killer whales aren't whales, they're porpoises.
Yeah, it's totally arbitrary.
Yeah, but you can cross a killer whale with a dolphin and get a wolphin.
Does that sound?
I heard they're monogamous too.
Well, that was my understanding. First and foremost, yes. I don't mean to be pedantic. I should just agree with you first. Okay, they're supposed to be more closely related to dolphins, right? Much more intelligent. Blah blah blah. But it's completely arbitrary.
All synthetic because it only happened in a zoo, I think.
Perhaps, but you're missing my point. Okay, I'm going to call it a xeno. Yeah, that's what it. That's the species that I've decided it is. It's a xeno.
Oh, I see. arbitrary classifications as Darwin. Yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah. But we've got to have names for things, otherwise we just say, look over there, look at that, look what that's doing.
That's not what you did. You told me it was closely related
but
to.
it could just as
Hold on.
easily be
Oh, no, let's just have this
Pakistani
out.
whale
Hold on.
duck,
Hello.
couldn't it?
Hold on. You didn't say that. You said it was closely related to. That was the word you used there, wasn't it, Paul?
I said it's a porpoise.
Closely related. I'm sure that's what I heard, unless I misheard you.
Well, I implied it, definitely, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember your exact words now. The implication being that somehow these arbitrarily assigned groups that we name them are somehow intertwined or related, and they're not.
Well, the fact that they can have offspring together, I guess, doesn't actually mean anything. So I can see your point, yes. I'm used to watching like BBC wildlife programs, and that's stuck in my brain still. I'm sorry.
I totally get it. I am being completely pedantic about it, but why not? It's a pre-show. Yes.
Hold on. The flesh of a pig is the closest to that of a man, but pigs and humans can't have babies.
And I heard the vagina of a lamb is the closest to a woman. All this
Yeah, you
nonsense.
bloody Italians with your vagina comparisons. Anyway, let's keep on track.
Who's figured that out? I'm off for a rafting. I'll catch you guys at the other side.
Excellent.
All right,
Enjoy
see
your
you later.
rafting. Very good stuff. But Paul's saying that they can actually have
guys.
offspring together, which to me does obviously suggest that if you can gestate a quote unquote different species' offspring, then yeah, you're going to be a lot more closely related. That does make sense.
A bit like lions and tigers. Although there are
no.
exceptions, like horses and donkeys, they make mules or asses, but both are infertile, so that's odd.
Right. So what's the point of being able to gestate another animal's children if it's infertile? It's just kind of like
Might be a lesson in there somewhere, I guess.
randomly mixing. People
Maybe what?
randomly seeing what'll happen when they make animals have sex.
Did you ever see a liger when they breed a tiger and a lion?
Yeah, it was just mentioned a minute ago. Yes, I've seen pictures of ligers. Well,
Those things are massive.
videography, I should say. Video images of ligers.
Have you seen a wolfen, though?
No.
Well, I missed a liger. I just popped on a few minutes ago. But those videos, those things are tremendous. Are they even supposed to be that big?
Probably not. Probably have horrible achy joints.
Well, here's a better analogy. You could take the transmission out of some models of cars and put them in different models of cars. It doesn't mean that it's the same model of car.
Hang on a second. If I put a Fiera engine in a Ferrari body shell, that is definitely a Ferrari.
No, it's a Fiera.
No, it's a Ferrari. Shh, what do you know about Ferraris? You Italian?
Just what I seen on Ford vs Ferrari. That's it.
I like the other one better. There was a one that came out a few years previous that had the German guy.
Yeah, that's what Lauder and the English guy. That was Rush.
Rush. You see, I really enjoyed that because I really enjoyed a German looking an Italian in the eye and going, "Your car's a piece of shit."
Yeah. Nicky Lauder.
Nicky Lauder, yeah, telling him what a piece of crap the the Ferrari was. And then he hacked it to pieces and made it totally unsafe, but really fast.
That's funny because I watched that movie like 3 or 4 times. I really liked it.
See, exactly. I watched it 3 or 4 times. Ford versus Ferrari, I watched once and was like, yeah, it's all right.
Did you watch Keely's show Saturday?
Yeah, Nathan, where were you?
I don't know.
Oh, it was
where I
Happy
was.
birthday.
I can't even remember what I was doing. I was pulling cables through. I didn't end up going to the kids' birthday party, so what I did do was pull wires through in preparation for my new computer, because a lot of the stuff
Was
that
it not
was
your
out of
birthday,
date
wasn't
won't
it?
work. Sorry,
Yeah,
say
I
again.
thought Saturday was your birthday.
It is. Pulling wires through is a birthday treat for me.
Oh, go ahead, John. What do you got?
Oh, I just thought that was pretty well done. The only thing that people keep getting confused on is the electric, because they call it an electromagnetic wave. Then how can you know, a wave is something does, not what something is. It's like it's word magic, you know.
QE destroyed it in the first line he said. It was game over.
What was that?
I can't remember, but it was game over.
Oh, well, that's
I'll tell
brilliant.
you
Such
what
a
it
great
was.
example. I'm glad you're here.
It's an unmanifest medium when medium automatically invokes manifest and physical.
I'm
All right, same
expecting
tree.
you to get it, Nathan.
Same tree I've been barking up then.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the
It
non-manifest
also
medium.
answers the.
Go on, sorry, whoever that was.
I was going to say, so if you're presented with a false dichotomy, right? One way to defeat it is to prove one of them is wrong, or to give a third option. So it's not as simple as just give a third option, or the false dichotomy stands, or even a dichotomy stands, because you can prove one of them wrong. So QE posited the idea that nothing and non-manifest are identical, and therefore it's a tautology, not really two options.
That's correct. Yes, he had me over the coals on that. He was like, look, it's not a full dichotomy. I'd just be repeating what you said. But yes, exactly, because I had him over the wall saying, you've got two different things at play, and you're holding one up and asking me to give you the other. Presumably because in the case of this particular Aether defender, they've gone up against globe believers that have got a sky vacuum to compare and contrast it with. Whereas with me, I didn't have that, so I'm like, you're giving a false dichotomy, and I don't have to offer you the other half. But then QE comes around and goes, well, actually, no. Having non-manifestation versus having nothing, those are the same. So you've just got a tautology. It's just false. So yeah, so I was wrong in my assessment of it being a false dichotomy.
Yeah,
There we
but
go. You live and learn.
You were telling him that.
Yeah, I was explaining it, but I wasn't giving an accurate description of what was actually occurring. When there's two different things being contrasted with one another, that's a false dichotomy. There wasn't two different things. There was only one thing. That's the point. Shere Khan, can you pop yourself on mute unless you wanted to add something? Shere Khan, or whatever you're called.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's all right, that's all right.
Yeah, he also said that light is photons as well, which I disagreed with.
Okay. Doesn't make any difference to the argument in regards to Aether, though, does it?
Well, it does, because he was invoking that, saying that the word medium automatically invokes a physical material, and saying that light is photons is completely wrong, a non sequitur, and that light isn't a physical material medium.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, regardless of whether or not that's true, I'm not going to argue the toss about that, because it's non sequitur to the claim being made. The claim is that you need a medium, and that medium is because the light is a wave. But if you can disprove that, i.e. show that that's a conceptual way of describing it mathematically, then you've got no further need to posit what light is. Now, QE may or may not have done that, but I certainly am not going to sit here and defend it. Why would I?
He didn't do that.
Okay, that's fair. Just light isn't a wave; it's just something that it does. There is a big difference, and
light doesn't do that, though.
Who agrees with
stop.
What?
Light doesn't do that. Light does not wave.
Light has an induction rate. That's why its speed constantly changes.
What speed?
Yeah, speed.
What speed?
No, it has no speed.
Any speed. Same thing with the double slit experiment.
Go ahead. What do you mean, same thing with the double slit experiment? Expand on what you mean.
Well, he kept on referring to the double slit experiment, where the rate of a photon, being that its probability of I don't know what was that. The picture that it creates, that it's all probability with the photon. So being that in the double slit experiment that it has to go through something, the speed of which varies depending on what it's going through.
Wrong.
Also, he didn't
No,
use the
there's no
double
speed
split. He used a
suggested.
single
Hold
split.
on.
I think I have my experiments
just
mixed
don't
up.
understand the double
I
slit.
might be thinking of the Michelson and Morley.
Yeah, you don't understand the double slit. So, I mean, fair enough. You just don't understand it. So, do you want to just hold your criticism? If you don't understand something, that's fine. But say he's wrong.
Well, I think I named the wrong experiment.
Yeah, you
I think
did.
I'm thinking
But that's
of the
okay. That's okay.
Michelson
You don't need
Morley.
to keep interrupting me. Yeah, you don't understand it. Yeah, you're describing speeds. There's nothing to do with speeds in it. There's no accounting for the speed of the light is traversing anything. All that you're looking at in the double slit is which hole it goes through. That's it. That's all you're looking at.
Okay, and what's going through a hole?
Why are you asking me this? You don't understand it, and you're telling me that QE is wrong because of your misunderstandings about it. You don't have to interrupt me. You don't have to interrupt me, babble through me because it's painful. Just because you don't understand something, that's just going to take me to explain you don't understand this. So, therefore, you have no right to criticise QE about his understanding when he does understand it. You don't. So just shut your trap. You don't need to criticise people about things you don't understand. Clearly,
Do you understand it? Could you help me?
You don't need to babble through me. You don't need to babble through me. Yeah?
I'm asking
Now, you
a
can
question.
politely ask me to explain it to you, and if you don't talk through me incessantly while I'm trying to explain that you're wrong and you don't understand, therefore I have no right to be critical of this, you don't understand it, I'll explain it to you with a few choice questions posed to you. Now, you said that there was some sort of pattern appearing on the wall. You said it was something to do with probability, so that much you understand. What's the name, the type of the probability that's described? Do you know?
No, not right at this moment.
All right, it's called wave function. Ever heard that term?
I have. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, surely you know. You're saying it's a wave.
No, I've heard of it, but I don't know what a wave
You think light's
function
moving in a
by
wave?
description.
You described induction after justifying that you believe it moves in a wave, didn't you? So you believe it moves in a wave. I'm giving you a description of the light, mathematically described as a wave function. You called it a probability. Okay? That's its wave. So surely you know what that means, given you're saying it is this wave function.
Okay. Well,
Do
I'm
you
just
know?
asking you to
You just said
elaborate
it
on
is
so
this.
I'm just
You're
trying to get
claiming
a
it
full
is this.
understanding of what you mean.
Yeah, I know what I mean. You don't. And I'm pointing that out to you. You started off by being critical of somebody who disseminated quite a substantial amount of information on Saturday to you. You disagree because you believe light's a wave. That's why you disagreed. You don't know how to disagree. You have no grounds to disagree. You still think, even though you've listened to his presentation, that light's a wave. Yet when I ask you to describe the probability that what the light is described as, that's a wave function, you don't know what it is. So why are you saying it's got an induction rate? Light described as a wave is the wave function. That's how it's been derived. Everything thereafter with your light lengths, the wavelengths, those are all derived from this wave function. That's how it's all come to pass. That's why you have a misapprehension about it being a wave. Now, I'd expect you to know what it is if you're going to criticise somebody who does and has disseminated why it's not a wave. You don't know that, so just don't criticise if you don't understand. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, that's fair. And I was just asking if you could elaborate to help me understand. That way I
Fine,
can.
I'll tell you. I'll
I
explain.
can help you a little bit.
Well, I just want to explain to him what wave function is, then you go ahead. Hold on one second, abstrused. So you fire one particle of light. Doesn't matter how you describe it, photon or otherwise. A light gets fired through a slit, but you don't know which one it goes through. Yeah? So it goes through either the left-hand slit or the right-hand slit. You don't know which. Now, when it does this, what happens at the other side? Well, when one light, let's call it, goes through, it hits on the other side in a particular location. Now, that location at this point is just a marker on a piece of film or a sensor at a particular location. So we'll call that location 1, okay? Then you fire another light through the double slit. Again, you don't know which one it's gone through, and it hits not in the same place, but in a different place. We'll call that location 2. Now we're going to fire a third light through the double slit. And we're going to see where it hits. Again, it doesn't hit at point 1 or point 2. It hits at a different point. We're going to call that point 3. So we've got 3 different points that it's hit so far. All we've done is fire light at a sensor. That's all that's happened. Yeah? And we've got 3 different places. So thus far, we can derive a probability of where it'll hit next. Not a very good one, but the more you fire, the more likely you'll build up a pattern of where it will hit next. So you fire another, and you think, well, I think it'll probably hit at point 1 again, because it's hit point 2 and point 3, and it'll probably go back to point 1. Lo and behold, it hits another random point 5, point 4 we'll call it, and so on and so forth, until you've got, let's say, 5 points. Then you do fire a 6th, and it hits at point 1, and so on and so forth. What you're building up is a probability distribution, where it's more likely to hit on the next firing. So you say it's got a higher likelihood of hitting point 1, but then you fire the next light through the double slit, and it doesn't. It's hitting somewhere else. So it's only a probability. You don't know for certain where it's going to hit. So that's a probability distribution, otherwise known as a wave function. Now, the likelihood of it hitting in a particular location has absolutely 0 to do with a medium we call a wave. It's a mathematical term for the likelihood of impact at a given location, i.e. the distribution of probability, as you called it. Something to do with probability? Yeah, where will the light hit next? Drum roll, is it going to be position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, or position 5? Well, we can work out from previous examples of light hitting in those positions which one's more likely and which one's less likely. So it's most likely to hit the one roughly in the middle, which is position 3. It's least likely to hit position 1 on the far left, and also similarly least likely to hit position 5 at about the same rate. These are probability distributions, aka wave functions. Now that's light diffraction when travelling through a double slit. The diffraction, otherwise known as interference, is the pattern that you get. And that pattern is an interference pattern, diffraction pattern. So that's what you're describing with a wave function. Now when you know which slit the light has travelled through, you put a camera on one or other, and as you fire a light through the double slit, if your camera sees it going through, you know it went through the one with the camera on. And if your camera doesn't see it going through, obviously it can only have gone through the other one. So in either event, you know which slit it went through. Now the effect, the phenomena that takes place as a result of this, knowing which path the light takes, is that you no longer get wave function describable. You have what's known as wave function collapse. That would be to say you no longer have an interference pattern. The probability is set. If it goes through left-hand slit, it hits behind left-hand slit. If it goes through right-hand slit, it hits behind right-hand slit. So there's no probability distribution whatsoever to describe in that instance. So at which point, when I say, okay, after wave function collapse, when you know where the light's going to go through the slit and end up on the other side, how do you describe a wave function with that? The answer is, you don't. There isn't any interference, aka diffraction patterns, aka something you can summarise with a wave function, to show when there's only 2 bars on the wall. There is no wave function. So in that instance, the very essence of why light gets described as a wave incorrectly is no longer present to describe in that instance. So there is no wave function. It's collapsed into actuality. One light bar behind one slit, one light bar behind the other. No wave function, no medium required. There you go. Done.
There's also, I think a lot of the problem is when they describe the phenomenon of wave function collapse, because you could call it diffraction pattern collapse as well, or diffraction grating collapse. But where they kept wave in the lingo, because they're communicating on a different understanding than what we do, I think maybe that's caused a lot of confusion.
I hate the term. Collapse infers that there's some sort of destruction going on, and it's quite the contrary. You're going from interference. That's what a diffraction pattern is. It's all over the place. If you just fire like a stream of light rather than one packet of light, I'm going to even attempt to call it a photon just to not trigger people. If you just fire one packet, one light, as I was describing it, through, again, there's no diffraction pattern to describe. You just got one impact on the other side of a double slit. That's all you've got. So when you describe wave function collapse, this is after you've built up the diffraction pattern in the first place, the interference. That's an interference. It's like static. When you've got a line behind the slit, that's it actually taking the form you'd expect it to. So saying it's collapsed into actualization because you have an actual line of light behind the slit. Well, that's much more akin to what you'd expect to happen. You fire light behind a slit, you see light behind the slit. Not, oh, it might hit at this point, it might hit at that point. That's interference and diffraction. Well, generally, life isn't made up of interference patterns and probabilities. You know, at a fundamental level it is. But in general terms, it's not. You don't walk around going, you know what, I think that light might hit over that. No, the thing you're looking at is just reaching your eye and coming into your eye in a very normal way. There's no interference to concern yourself with. You know, you're getting right down to the minutiae, the really, really hyper-specific levels when you're talking about the investigation and the scientific discoveries about light and how it behaves. But does that mean that light generally behaves like that? No. Does light diffract? Yes, it's a natural phenomenon. You can definitely science it. Diffraction's real. It's definitely natural. But I'm not experiencing that on a day-to-day basis. I can experience it. Is a phenomena. But light diffraction isn't just occurring around me for me to concern myself with. You know, I'm not going, I wonder why that light isn't hitting where I expected it to after it travelled through this keyhole. You know, it's just biggest belief. But people have based their entire understanding of light moving through bloody mediums on this mathematical description of a very niche, specific event, a thing that light does under very special circumstances when it undergoes interference. Like, bloody hell. Anyway.
So you're saying diffraction actualization would be a better term than wave function collapse?
Wave function actualization would be the term I would prefer, but far be it from me to stand on the shoulders of the most great men in history and say your terminology is bad. It sounds like it's going badly, when in fact it's going correctly. It's actualized. It's not collapsed. But the term, I shouldn't get pedantic about it, because that term's mathematical. It's not describing anything in physical terms. It's the mathematical description of probability collapsing. So it's no longer a probability. It's real. So I get why it's described that mathematically. It is accurate in mathematical terms. But people use these terms and reify them into mediums and waves. So by the same standard, people who are not doing it badly, but just hearing the terms and trying in their own mind to associate that with physical reality, hear the word collapse, and it has a very different implication in physical terms than it does in the mathematical. Anyway.
But what I'm saying, though, is if it's actualized, there is no waveform.
Right.
So just call it actualization.
Yeah, but the mathematical description of that is wave function collapse, unfortunately.
Right, but that would be the mathematical description, but it does not have to be described that way, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So in terms of what occurs, the actual path is revealed. It actually travels through the left slit and actually hits behind the left slit. That's actualization. And also what we'd expect to see in general terms, right? That's how general reality presents itself to us. We're not presented with a probability to work out which might occur. We just we're presented with reality and what is occurring. So I don't know. Some people get to this stage when it's like giving a kid a chainsaw. It's like, don't wave that around. It's a very dangerous toy. You know, we're talking about the fundamental base makeup of our reality. That's so niche. It's like we're really deep down that rabbit hole when we talk about this.
Yeah, but we got to be clear. Both impressions on the final plate actually occur. So when you have an interference pattern, when you have a discrete pattern, they both occur. It's not like one didn't occur. So you have differentials on the final plate. So what can you infer from that? So I want to use an analogy with machine guns. So you set up 20 machine guns, right? And you fire at a wall, right? You disperse the machine guns evenly around the surface of the wall. You're going to get bullets hitting everywhere, okay? So saturating the entire wall with hits. Now, if you have a ubiquitous 360-degree wave that emanates from a point, it would also saturate the wall with quote-unquote hits. So you could model, in principle, graphically, the distribution of the bullets, both in the form of a ubiquitous 360-degree mechanical wave and in the form of a wave function. Now, I've used the term wave twice. Yet, we know that these machine guns are operating in the form of particle extrusion, where they fire a particle, being a bullet, and it hits the wall. Now, if you remove all of them, right, and you get a sniper rifle that just shoots one, and it hits where you want it to hit, you no longer have a distribution that requires any mathematical probabilities. You no longer have the assumption that it could be a ubiquitous 360-degree mechanical wave, because you no longer have saturation on the plate. So in the example of a double slit, right, or any other type of saturation plate, right, where it's receiving signal from the source, if you have a ubiquitous signal, it's going to saturate the entire plate. If you have a discrete hit on the plate, then that necessitates that this idea that it's a wave that emanates out from a point is falsified. Also, what's falsified is any capacity for it to be a wave function of probabilities.
Exactly. Once you fire a discrete chunk, so if you've got an argon pump laser, not that that's something readily available, you can fire a discrete chunk of light at the sensor, and that's the equivalent of you saying a gun sniper firing one chunk out at the end of his barrel. Now, when the one chunk hits where you expect it to hit, and the one particle of light, or one discrete chunk of light hits, again, there's only one chunk hitting the sensor, so there's no way to calculate a wave function from that. You need to calculate the probability of where the next hit will be. Well, you can only build that data up from having lots and lots of impact. So a sniper firing multiple times, so you can say, well, the chances are he'll be on target this next one by way of probability, because we've seen him fire 10 times. Well, that's where you get your wave function. But if he only fires once, you can't derive a wave function from it. You've only got one hit. How can you derive a probability? So that's what is utilised in QE's demonstrations to show that you can't get a wave function when you only have one discrete chunk of light hitting the sensor. And that's how you start to build up the wave function in terms of its probability distribution, aka wave function. But once one has been shown to, in metaphor, breach the barrel of the gun and hit the target on the other side of a little tiny window, a slit, then you don't have anything to describe as a wave anymore. Now, beyond that, does it matter that I do or don't believe that a photon of light's fired out the end of the bloody argon pump laser? It doesn't matter. A light particle has registered on the other side of the slit. There's only one, therefore no wave function.
Well, there's also, too, that if you look at how you would qualify what they're talking about with a wave function, that you graph it on a time 90 degrees to space in its position relative to where it was. So you're claiming space-time if you think that's ether.
Yeah, it is the juxtaposition for flat earthers who've been fed this at the feast of nonsense to juxtapose against space. That's all this is. You're absolutely right. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Arwin, Chocolate Saiyan, Brian's Logic, Refracted Curvature, Neil, 10th Man, Eli, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Yo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chocolate.
Good morning to you all. We're going to start the housekeeping questions to follow on from the conversation that we were having in the pre-show. So is there any evidence of a containerless container, a sky vacuum? Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Yes.
Well, if you believe that space is actually a medium called ether or space-time, then would you need a container since there's a medium abutted to another medium?
No, if we can debunk that there is any empty void known as space with its bending, dilating space-time and its dark matter, because we are in a contained system, then there is only speculation of what could be, if anything, beyond said containment, which we have no demonstrable examples of, other than the necessity to have gas pressure contained, the antecedent-consequent relationship. But that debunks the area being contrasted with ether when you say it's either space-time or ether. But there is no need for that comparison.
I wasn't saying it's either one. I was saying they're the same thing, conceptually.
Yeah, I would agree. At the Feast of Nonsense, we were fed something to contrast and argue about with globe believers that replaces the area that gas we are breathing would fill if it were real. Therefore, it's not real. Therefore, there's no need to have anything contrasted with it. So everyone who swallowed the ether nonsense at the Feast of Nonsense when they got to Flat Earth it's on you, I'm afraid. Space is fake.
Well, when they talk about the speed of light, is it possible that they're just misconstruing the absorption rate of material and associating that with the speed?
I don't know, but why would I want to or need to get into this? Again, like in the pre-show, who's making the claims? And if we are, or using claims of others in regards to the study of light, how is that being used to prove the nature of our world, other than prove how the nature of light behaves? I don't see why there's a need to answer that question.
It's been hijacked, you see. What they call Einstein's, I can't remember the term now, but they connect it to Einstein because he uses it as part of the general relativity.
Right, he justifies the distances.
Yeah, he justifies things by the speed, the two-way speed of light claim. You know, like they just try and justify the distance to the sun with the two-way speed of light claim.
No, I get all that, Brian, and I totally get it.
John has a good point concerning it, but I understand your point too. Why are you concerned with this? How does it prove a reality? It doesn't prove a reality.
Yeah, it's like if somebody's hijacked some bus, and then you're like, okay, so they're hijacking the bus for their own nefarious ends. And then someone says, well, how does the transmission on the bus work? And I go, I don't care. It's just, why are you asking me? Because somebody else has hijacked a bus and are using it to prove that the Earth's a globe. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, well, using buses to prove sphere Earth isn't useful because... And then further to that, I still need to tell you how the transmission works. No, I don't. And in this instance, I don't need to tell you how light works, just because Einstein's hijacking light and utilising within the heliocentric description of a place that isn't real, in this case space-time, a fourth-dimensional pseudo-Riemannian geometry that was invented by Einstein.
Well, the thing about it is...
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, Arwin, we do hear you.
Oh, okay.
The thing about it is this.
We also hear Brian, though. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you. The thing about it is this. I said to QE, I made a point on the show on Saturday that if you are claiming ether, let's just say, then you're also claiming the theory of relativity. You can't claim that Einstein is incorrect and also claim ether, as ether is part of his relativity theory. So technically, I made the comment on Saturday that you can't claim one and say the other is debunked because they're both intertwined. Because ether is part of his space-time, part of his space, the claim of ether. But, go back and listen to the show out. But this show, Ball Busters. But the thing about it is technically the fact that you can't have gas pressure within a container debunks all of them. Ether is debunked by the fact you can't have gas pressure within a container. Not that it needs to be debunked, because it hasn't been shown to be anything in the first place. There's no evidence of it. But the point is that you can't have gas pressure without a container. You can't have space to have ether.
It just seems like yet another example of something that we are handed when we get here to compare and contrast with one of their own failed arguments. For example, boats falling off the edge of a pizza pie in the Flat Earth Society depiction of a pancake rising up through space. Number one, why is it asserted that it's a pancake with a boat falling over the edge, and why is it floating up through space? Well, the reason it's got an edge with a boat falling over it is because sphere Earth has a physical hill in your view at the horizon with boats falling over it. So there's a need to ask us to compare and contrast and have us ridiculed for boats falling over an edge. Because globe Earth boats fall over an edge. Why is it rising up through space? Well, because in the anti-Flat Earth / Flat Earth Society narrative, the pizza pie Flat Earth is accelerating up through a sky vacuum at 9.8 metres per second squared. I kid you not. So it's essentially got the anti-gravity, the reverse description of gravity in the Flat Earth Society narrative. And lastly, it's going up through space. Well, in terms of what are we positioned and asked to show? A dome, aren't we? Where's your dome? Show me the dome. If you say we're in a dome, show it me. Why is that? Same exact reason. We're asked to show a dome because their argument fails on its arse to have a gas-violating area of volume with gas not filling it. That's space. All of the gas we're breathing would violate that area, the area we are in, immediately. It would just disappear into the empty volume it had if the sky was a vacuum. That's what gas does near vacuums. So next time any fundy looks at the picture of Earth claimed to be from a sky vacuum, where you see clouds clinging to a blue marble with a black vacuum next to them, that's high-pressure gas next to a vacuum not dispersing into it. So ask the flat earthers where their dome is.
Right, but
Can I ask a question?
Well, I just wanted to link it lastly to the ether. So, but you all want to get in on it. But if someone else wants to link that exact same way of having two different versions of the crap globe Earth argument, with us having a false narrative given to us when we got here, ether's one of them to juxtapose with the sky vacuum.
Right. Well, when ether was first supposed to exist, it was a heliocentric universe that it was thought to exist in. It was, and I think it might have been because of their understanding of gas behavior at the time. They understood that it would fill the volume, possibly, and that's why they extrapolated another medium to contain.
But that makes no sense because ether is light and light is not equal to gas. So how would that stop each other? This is very weird.
No, ether is not light.
Hold on, ether is light? Whoa.
Ether is not
It's
light.
everything. You know that.
Ether is not
Space
existing.
has no properties.
But if it's going to be used as to fill in for the vacuum, well, that makes no sense because it's
No properties
going
means
to
it can't be
prevent
proven
the gas
to
from
exist.
expanding in all directions. So, and that's what I wonder. Did Einstein ever even address at any point the gas pressure issue? If he's going to say, "Oh, the Earth is like a disk moving upward," did he include a dome in that conceptual architecture when he said that? Did he ever address gas?
Who cares?
Behavior?
We must have
I care.
containment to have gas pressure. Beyond that,
understand.
claims of ether and sky vacuums, who cares?
I care for historical context. I care. It matters. Did he have that in his mind when he was doing his thing? Has he ever addressed anything related to gas behavior within his entire career?
All he had was relativity in his mind, meaning his cousin.
Is that no, or is that a yes?
Brownian
I'm just
motion was
confused as to
supposedly-
why we're quoting Einstein on Ether when there's many other scholars that understood it way better and Light way better than Einstein.
Understood what?
Understood what?
Yeah, what's it?
Understood what?
Understood Ether.
There's no ether. It doesn't
is-
exist.
What is it?
Hold on, we've just had a bit of circular reasoning. Why is that he understood? Well, better than anybody, or others that understood it better than he. What is it?
I'm not going into details on it. I'm just asking why we're quoting Einstein on Ether when there's way better scholars
I see.
that understood and worked with light and everything better than Einstein. Einstein actually wrote a letter apologizing that he didn't understand it at all.
Hello. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, last time you said it worked with light and ether. Now you've reduced that to just light. So, are you now, with your example of him having other scholars knowing how to best work with ether and light, has that just been reduced down to no examples of them working with the thing that you claim is real? So it's just gone down to light now, just people worked well with light. Something you didn't understand in the pre-show.
I'm just going to agree with you because I'm not in the mood to debate you on this.
What you did in the pre-show, and you got absolutely annihilated based on your total lack of understanding of what light is, how it's behaved, how it's described mathematically as a wave function. You didn't have a clue. You were clueless. You're not going to debate me. You did. You lost. You did. You lost. Now shut up.
Experiment.
Now shut up.
That's what I didn't
now
understand.
shut up.
Can we agree?
Shut
that?
up. Shut your mouth,
correct?
Dumbo. Shut up. Don't smirk
Well, no,
either.
you're
You
lying.
did debate
You're
me.
lying
You
about
lost
me now.
badly. Now,
you're going to accuse Nathan
now
of lying
Neil's
now.
been triggered because you can't stop yattering. Neil and Arwin will start following suit because that's what they do.
I asked about the double.
I don't
slit
care what you asked about. I'm
experiment,
telling you to shut up. You demonstrated
lie.
admirably in debate with me that you had absolutely no understanding. You pleaded with me to explain that which you did not understand that was wave function to you. Now you've got the audacity to tell my audience I'm not going to debate with you. You did. You just didn't understand what the hell you were talking about. So to take that position annoys me greatly. Like you're in some position to say, I'm not going to debate you about this. You're damn straight you're not. If you did, you'd lose. You already have, and you did. So don't tell us what ether is. I'm pointing out that for my audience, you have suggested that there are better scholars who have worked with, quote, ether and light. Then no less, four people asked you what ether was. And your response was to say, A, you're not going to be debating it or describing it, and then you reduce the exact same description of what they were working with to just light. So will you now concede that you can't show it? It's, quote, non-manifest. This bullshit that you got your ass handed to based on a lack of understanding in the pre-show. Can you just concede it? You won't be showing us the shite you believe in?
No, I'll live another day to tell my tales.
Tales, that's all you've got. Tales of the ether. We're not interested in tales. We're interested in observed natural phenomena. That's what we're interested in.
Observe natural phenomenon. We live in a pressurized system, correct?
That's got nothing to do with ether. The thing we're asking you to show us.
Nathan, he called Michelson Morley an experiment. He's off the rails.
Yeah. Either way, right, we're only interested in what these so-called scholars have got to show us in physical reality. The physics of ether would be all we would be interested in. The observed natural phenomena, the presumed cause, if you're going to say you've got some science for it. That's it. But all we get is told, well, we've got people who work with light. You know, after inferring that they've worked with ether, that these people are scholars in ether, something we can't be shown. And then when quizzed, oh, I've got nothing to actually show you or debate you on this with. But these people have definitely worked with light. That's fascinating. Yeah, we know a lot more about light than you do. But you're out there in the circuit babbling on about ether when you don't even know what light is. So you're an embarrassment to us. That's what you are. You know, you disgrace me, personally, by walking around with your total lack of understanding about light, babbling on about ether, something you can't show, and then talk about scholars appealing to some authority that you don't understand. You are an embarrassment to me. And I want to make that plain. You're an embarrassment, okay?
Nathan, actually, I think you're an embarrassment. If you're limiting yourself.
No, you.
Sorry, excuse me?
Oh, here we go. Limiting
Sorry,
again.
let's hear how I embarrass this community. Go ahead.
By limiting your knowledge about the known world. There's
Sorry,
a lot more than just
describe
Earth.
how.
There's a lot more than
Sorry,
just light,
sorry.
just wave functions.
You are talking about light specifically, something you don't know anything about, and you've got the audacity to tell me that I'm out here. What?
What's light? You don't even understand light.
So I don't understand light. You asked me to explain wave function to you in the pre-show. Now you've got the audacity to tell me I don't understand. So you just disseminated into being a dick, right? I'm not going to debate you. Yeah, pride, my friend. That's you having no humility. Yeah, you didn't understand what wave function was. I had to explain it to you. I did calmly. And then on the live show, you've now started to become a dick. Yeah? I don't get it. Why? Why lose all of your humility over this? I don't get it.
Because you don't understand light. You just know it as a wave function.
Right, you only learnt this term today.
No, I didn't.
Kidding now.
Sorry, why that laugh is a laugh of a liar, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. Feel free to become a member or wait a couple of days to listen to this lying little shit who just had wave function explained to him today by me. Don't laugh again, you little liar.
He even admitted he got it mixed up with Michelson Morley.
You're a liar. Yeah, I'll say again.
I did.
Yeah,
right.
Don't stutter and stammer about your confessions. We know it's recorded. Just sit down and shut up. You are an embarrassment to us. Yeah, I consider myself a flat earther, and I see you, personally, as an embarrassment to me. That's what you are. Don't tell me I don't understand light, dick that didn't understand what a wave function was about 25 minutes ago. How dare you? Now, that kind of arrogance is also an embarrassment to me. Don't associate yourself with the term flat earther. You're not. You're an embarrassment to flat earthers.
I'm not a flat earther.
Good.
It sounds like
good.
It's
it sounds like
embarrassing
the
to be called a flat earther.
Are you just parroting off my insults towards you based on your lack of understanding of light that had to be explained to you? Now you're just saying, well, no, you're an embarrassment. Why are you 12?
Projecting.
I'm trying to understand what's the fight here. Like, you want to believe in ether, whatever that is, great. But if you can't prove it empirically to anybody, why do you fight about it? I don't get it.
Well, hold on, chocolate, my friend. You're giving too much credit here. You can't even make a coherent statement, let alone defend a position. I mean, it's painful to watch. Now, for example, he's saying he's embarrassed to be called a flat earther. Why? Because the Earth isn't planar in nature in the sense that it has zero undulations, being mountains or water waves. I mean, think about it. Being hyper-specific that the Earth isn't necessarily flat because it's not a literally 2D object and it's actually 3D. And therefore, you're embarrassed to be called a flat earther? I mean, come on. How pedantic can you get?
Wait, he said all that too? I didn't even hear all that.
Now that's a straw man.
Jesus Christ.
Lord of Lords. Hey, Nathan, can you go to Master B? I got 2 slides. You can start with the last one, which is the black swan. I'd like to make a contrast here.
I want to say something after you, Tent.
That is not a swan. That's a whale.
Not that. Go to the last two.
That's a huge whale.
Shush.
Okay, Black Swan.
Okay, Black Swan. Platform habitat, 9.41 miles. Platform hill house, 6.21 miles. Observer height, 1 foot. Max distance, geometric horizon, if you live on a sphere, 1.22 miles. What does this prove right now, Nathan? Right here, what does this prove?
That the horizon's not Earth curve and the Earth is not a sphere radius 3959.
All right, go to the previous slide. See the submarine?
Yeah.
Observer's horizon, geodal horizon, figure 2.7, the nautical almanac, and the site reduction tables assume that the sites are taken at sea level. For instance, from the periscope of a submarine barely emerging the water. Second one, figure 2.8, the height of the observer's eye above sea level. Now, what was the first one say? The nautical almanac and site reduction tables assume that the sites are taken at sea level. What does the second one say? The height of the observer's eye above sea level determines the dip. This angle must be removed from the altitude of the celestial body above the horizon. That's the sea horizon, not the bubble, not the astronomical, not the sensible. That is measured with a sextant. Now, see that dingleberry drawing underneath? That's just like the ether. Can't show it, can't see it, but let's draw it and fool everybody. I'm done.
Well, he reminds me of ballers when you go to their channels and they say that we're limiting ourselves with science because it's too narrow. Now he's saying Nathan is limiting himself because he doesn't want to believe in this nonsense called ether that's unmanifest. It's a joke.
I do like the topology of red herring. That's one of the better red herrings out there.
Okay.
That dingleberry is non-manifest. We just saw the black swan. Go look at the black swan. Do you see that thing that they draw under all their celestial navigation books to fool you to think you're on a sphere getting an elevation angle from a curved surface? Are you that crazy not to allow your logic to realize that they're lying to you on this one very important point? Yeah, but none of the celestial books say we live on a flat earth. Yeah, because they're lying to you. And you can out them right here.
Speaking of which, is there any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve?
Not without any considerations.
Geometric
Earth can't be
considerations.
curving.
Say again, John?
Earth can't be curving, else you wouldn't be able to get an elevation angle from the surface.
That's correct.
Yeah, it isn't. Because it can be, because you need the flat angles and all that to achieve a globe model, but you could always think of that flat Earth as a globe model. And that's the considerations.
I don't know if you guys checked out the show I trimmed out from yesterday, addressed to Mike Robinson. Upon listening
Excellent.
Yeah, I was going to say it was designed to be a response video for a specific individual, but when you actually listen to it back, it's a description of how Earth operates and how Earth's flat and can't be possibly spherical. It's actually a really good half-an-hour summary that I'd say, although it's pretty top of the tree in terms of complexity to understand some of the stuff that's being disseminated when talking about celestial navigation. But for the most part, I'd say as a whole package, it's kind of mid-range. You know, if you're familiar with a flat earther that just doesn't know his stuff that much, chuck him that video. That response to Mike was all of you at your very finest, I would say, in terms of just disseminating it concisely, in rebuttal to a guy claiming everything's spherical and everyone knows it, we're all building it and navigating it spherical. And then the response that follows to that is just epic from all of you. So kudos. And if you haven't listened to that response video to Mike Robinson, go and check it out.
I like how you made them say his name, too. That was awesome.
It's the little things, eh, Neil?
Yes, because if he gets a hold of this, you never know. His eyes might be opened.
I don't care. No offence. Yeah, forget about the proving Earth's a flat plane by way of its elevation angle measurements to derive a celestial sphere model over a flat plane, we used his name.
No, the way you made them say his name, address it to him, and it was everybody at their finest. I agree.
Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Ex Mike Robinson.
Is another misapprehension that even bridges are being built on curves, which they absolutely unequivocally are not?
Yeah, that was the big proof. The Verrazano Bridge in Brooklyn proves that the Earth is a sphere. That was like 2015.
Even though they use
that's
planar
funny.
survey.
I used to live a few blocks from there. Maybe he forgot that water underneath was completely flat. Yeah, thanks.
And the method to build it was what, John?
They used planar surveying whenever they were engineering the bridge. Planar.
John, there's a 6-inch difference. Don't you realize that?
6-inch what?
That was the claim, that there's a 6-inch difference in height because they had to account for the spherical Earth.
Using planar surveying.
I got it in the chat. Everyone's sticking up the triangle whenever anybody mentions the angle. It's 10th man spamming triangles. Right on. Any evidence of the distance?
No, hang on. I just challenged Phil because he has no shame. Michael Kahn did a great video catching him on either making a mistake or purposely lying. I don't know until he explains himself. And all he does is just go to the next topic. He never says, okay, Michael, you got me there. I was wrong. I won't talk that way again. It's recorded, Phil.
But that's his game.
Scattergunning. He's just scattergunning. He doesn't remember what happened before that.
Oh, yeah, he does. Hold on. Sorry, 10th. I just want to address what Arwin just said. Sorry, you're under the misapprehension that these people, when they just scattergun us and move on, much to our frustration, that they just forget about that. You believe that's the case, do you, Arwin?
Yeah.
Au contraire. No. Now, they might attempt to suppress that. But no, they definitely don't just forget about it and move on. They wouldn't be here if they could do that, Arwin.
What?
Nathan, I didn't get to finish, but I'm going to post some screenshots. I'll be back.
We'll come back to this, Arwin. Go ahead, 10th. Remember your question.
No, I'm going to post some screenshots. I didn't get to finish. I'll be back.
Why? The whole reason for being here is their inability to overcome these arguments and therefore try and find their own confirmation bias by disagreeing with us, making us the enemy. Making when we are wrong, they are right. So if they can show us to be wrong, then that alleviates their pain temporarily. What pain? Well, the pain of the contradictions that get thrown up and shown to them here. So when, as 10th describes with Michael Kahn or whoever it was, Phil's inability to concede, it's because concession in that regard is concession of his entire worldview. Well, that's not going to suddenly go away and be forgotten about. That weighs very heavy. After 7 years, I'm absolutely certain of this, Arwin. This is their pain. This is the pain that they will only describe when their guards let down. Like with Conspiracy Cats, interviewed by Haunted House. His guards let down and he suddenly describes the awful truth and the reality he'd have to face if some of the things he contemplates and moves past were actually true. I mean, then everything might be a lie. Yeah? That's the suppression they might attempt to engage in. But suppressing some horrible, awful truth isn't the same as forgetting about it. Let's get that clear.
Yeah, but the one kind of invokes the other. I mean, if something is too terrible for me to handle way back, then I would literally forget it in plain sight, even if somebody just told it to me, because my cognition wouldn't allow it to integrate. And then I won't forget.
Right. But it's
that
still
there.
To them
feeling.
Ian, your brain's not a tape recorder, right? You haven't got a little metal erase head that just erases over that bit of tape so that you don't have to concern yourself with it. That doesn't work.
No, it's not erased. It's just not addressed. It's like separated. It's compartmentalized.
Oh, this gets better and better. So it's in your brain, unaddressed.
Yes.
Oh, that's even better.
Bypassing your consciousness.
attempts to suppress information that is unaddressed, that suppression is the same as suppressing some trauma or mental anguish that you have faced. Why? Because it's the same thing. It's trauma and mental anguish. It took me a while, Arwin, to get my head around this. When you're in the chat with them and they suddenly scattergun you or something, you catch them out and they either circle jerk back to the beginning of the claim, so you have to go through your defence of it again, or they move on abruptly, like Phil's done in this example. Now, at the time, they've obviously figured out that it's very frustrating for me. That's where share your pain comes from, because that's what they're actually doing. An attempt to circle round to the beginning of their making the claim, because the making of the claim made them feel quite good at the beginning of this painful cycle. So they do it again. But that's them expressing their attempts to suppress their pain, their mental anguish, this trauma. That's what it really is.
But that is literally, or most cases, the cause of amnesia. It is because of trauma. That's literally what it does.
Right.
Somebody who went through a lot of trauma, they will literally not have conscious availability of what they have experienced because of the trauma.
That's
it's like
great,
forced out of it.
Yeah,
that is amnesia. That
sounds
is
like
literal
fun, huh? Sounds like fun. Chocolate spotted this the other day. So when I was editing that little section out, there's a bit right early on where Chocolate is listening to the words being read off from this guy's email, and Chocolate goes, "He sounds scared."
Yes.
Right? That's Chocolate spotting this exact scenario. Right? But he's having to disseminate his fears and concerns about it, about the greater implications. And in so doing, Chocolate picked up on the fear vibe that's coming from his words. And that's what this is all about.
And you just brushed them off.
All right, Nathan, if you're ready to go. 4 slides.
Okie doke.
All right, so here's Michael Kahn at Prof. Phil Bell. Since you're traveling the surface and navigating, I'd say you have no clue what you're talking about. Personally, I think you're a troll and not a professor. So explain why a sailor at sea using a sextant doesn't need to do height of eye correction if in a, let's say, he's in a dinghy. Go to the next slide. Prof. Phil at the bottom area. Michael Kahn, which fool told you that they don't? Next slide. Michael Kahn, book by David Beerson, validated by other citations on celestial navigation. Let's go to the writing. Last slide. First, let's look at height of eye. Obviously, we want to reduce the height of eye so that we can compensate for the difference in the height of the observer above sea level. The higher we are above the horizon, the greater correction that we have to include. We want to mathematically reduce our height of eye to sea level. This is referred to as dip and is always subtracted, as it must be, because unless swimming or on a life raft, you will always be above the horizon. Phil, can you at least admit you were wrong? I got more of these. Come on, be a stand-up guy.
Admitting he's wrong concedes his entire paradigm. He's never going to do that. He's going to try and suppress the pain of what's just been said.
Okay, so then what do we do with a troll that comes in here and lies all the time?
Nothing. Don't concern yourself with him. I say, share your pain, Phil. Share your pain.
Yeah, I agree with Nathan.
I have a question.
Can I finish what I meant by that?
Yeah. Then John, go ahead.
No, we call them out like we're doing now. We can't just let them sit here sharing their pain on their lies to people who might be, reading chat, may not have the background knowledge that we all have over the years. So we have to call him out. So if he wants to come in here and share his pain and lie, then we're going to call him out. Simple as that.
Fair enough. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say then the description of them circling back. We used to call it the respawn. That doesn't seem accurate now. It seems like it's the memory wipe.
The memory what? Say that again.
It's like a memory wipe. It's like their brain is covering up the information from them, so that they
amnesia.
Yeah, it's amnesia.
Yeah, that's another way I've
So
described it in the past.
amnesia is
Globetard
the
amnesia.
suppression.
Yeah, globetard amnesia. They come on the following show
No.
and make the same argument.
Oh, because I was going to say amnesia means that they forget. They don't forget. They remember everything. That's why they're in pain.
No,
Yeah,
that's not what amnesia is. Amnesia is the blocking of what you have experienced. And then you truly have forgotten it in that moment. Doesn't mean it can't come back. It just means it's out of reach. That's the amnesia effect.
Gene
So it looks like a respawn.
Just one second, just want to read out the super chat. Gene has a question. Says, I sent you a vid of anti-flirfs convo talking points from TikTok. Could you comment on them? Your AOL email. Maybe I'll have a look. Gene, thank you very much for the super chat.
Well, what I was saying is,
What you were saying was
I was actually.
you cut off. Start again. What you were saying was.
Well, if it's amnesic, as Arwen's describing it, then it's not dishonest.
Exactly. Because they have to believe that they're on the right
then
side.
it's
Or
not
it can't.
Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, I've just got to stop. Put a stop to
Then it's
this.
not
Sorry,
amnesia.
guys. Stop. I've got to put a stop to this. Arwen's inferring that in the brief space of time that Phil makes an assertion and then has his ass handed to him by a flat earth that he's going to suffer amnesia. All right, I'm just going to put a stop to this utter horseshit right now. No, that might occur in a car accident. He hasn't suffered a car accident. He's suffered a mental slap in the face by a flat earther in chat. He's not going to suffer amnesia from that. He's just lying to himself in an attempt to suppress the devastating and awful truth that, if conceded, his world isn't as he believes. He can't do that, so he must suppress it. He's not suffering bloody amnesia.
I agree.
Excuse me?
It's bullshit, Arwen. It's
No,
bullshit.
that is amnesia.
Oh, whatever. Shout out to Godzilla for the super chat. He says, Phil, quote, sharing his pain, end quote, all over the chat. The rest of us are sick of the smell, though. Also, hi. Thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
I thought it was interesting because that's a third option. You know, you have the lying as an option, you have stupidity as an option, but then Arwen has just introduced a third option that I found really interesting, that it could be trauma.
Come on.
You're having me on?
But it is. Globe belief is like that. When I was a globe believer, I was super tenacious. Somebody could tell me exactly how the Earth is flat and how it can't be a globe. I would understand that structure, and then it wouldn't settle in my mind, and I would effectively ignore it, not even realizing that that is what was happening. Full-on amnesia. It is what the globe does. Globe belief gets so close to your heart, it just has a tendency to make you do that to yourself much quicker than with any other belief.
So, Arwen, is everyone like you?
Okay, well, I'll accept that.
Well, a lot of people, have shown the same
Okay,
effect.
what about the people who aren't like you? What would you call them? Chocolate, what would you call them?
Well, they would become liars, but you would, feel
Chocolate,
it oozing off them all the time.
Chocolate, what would you call them if they're not like Arwen and live in this other thing?
Liars?
Okay, thank you.
Hold on a second, though.
But lying shines off you. If
dichotomy.
you're lying, you feel it. Like Rumpus would lie, and he would actually lie. He didn't have amnesia. He would just lie, and you would feel it. It would, in the moment, bring up an upwelling of disgust. Very spontaneously, not derived from information. You would
So
feel
you
it.
just said there are other. So you just admitted there are other people than you who are lying. Thank you.
Yes.
No need. Okay, go ahead, John.
What?
I was just going to say that if it's amnesia or lying, that's a false dichotomy. We just found that there's three options to this, not just two.
Yeah, stupidity is also possible. But you would follow that. You would notice as they are trying to stumble to understand it, because then they would keep trying and failing. You would see that often.
Okay, I'm happy to accept Arwen's description from personal experience and then only associate that with what's been disseminated by someone like Conspiracy Cats when he was interviewed by Haunted House. You can only infer from what you've actually had someone disseminate from personal experience. So therefore, I'll put those two things together. It doesn't matter if I describe it as suppression and Arwen describes it as amnesia. It's kind of irrelevant. What we see is that process that Phil Bell's exemplified here in the chat today, where he gets his ass handed to him, there's no concession, he tries to, let's say, put it to the back of his mind, be it amnesia or suppression. But then at a given stage, as exemplified by Conspiracy Cats, they have to describe how that would make them feel if they were to contemplate it, which in essence is the contemplation of it. But in a way that you say, well, I'm not going to be doing that contemplation that I couldn't bear to do because it would be too painful. It means you're just attempting to suppress it, in my opinion. But that's only based on what Conspiracy Cats actually said to Haunted House in interview.
Right. And
then you totally get out of it.
My only point really is that there's a slight nuance difference as to their consciousness about the process.
There isn't, Arwen. There's a slight lack of humility going on because they grew up and were told and think, or that flat earthers or people who believe the earth is not a globe have to be stupid. So when someone who can show them the earth is not a globe and prove that it's not a globe, like Michael Kahn did, how it can't be a globe if the process of height of light correction exists, which it does, then it can't be a globe. Right. Why won't they concede? Because they don't have humility. Because they have to believe. I'm not finished, Darwin. Maybe shut up for a minute. Because they have to believe that they are intellectually superior, but they've just been proven to be incorrect.
Right. But that's an ideological driver. That's a force behind it.
That's not an ideological anything. That is how they think. That is how they react.
Right. That is, yeah, but that's what drives them to do what they do and keep going, right? It's not actually a pointer of the conscious process. It's their will. It's what they want to do.
I won't admit that I'm wrong because this person is supposed to be stupid. So how could they prove me wrong? That's what it is.
And you even leave the fight. Hold on, you even leave the fight because Conspiracy Cats is not even around no more. Is he even in the fight? Just to hold on to his belief, he left the fight.
Arwen, is Phil Bell in the chat unconsciously right now?
I think that from my analysis, and Phil Bell comes by in my chat a lot.
In chat right now, is he unconscious?
I'm sorry, we're talking about the same Phil Bell, right?
I'm asking you a direct question.
Yeah, so in my experience, if I may answer uninterrupted...
Is he conscious or not conscious? It's an either or.
Can I answer it? It's not a yes or no answer. It's not a yes or no answer.
It is. Oh, forget it.
It's not a yes or no answer. If you won't settle for that, then I'm not going to answer.
No, I'm not going to settle for it.
Okay, jolly good.
Well, then
excellent. Well, we can establish this. Okay, guys.
He's conscious.
1 sec. Guys, we can establish this. I'm sure Michael Kahn can just ask Phil Bell if he remembers his ass being handed to him 10 minutes ago. You know, we can establish that from the chat. You can just ask, right? Hey, Phil, have you got amnesia?
Nathan, by the very fact that Phil might type in some words means he's conscious.
That was masochistic. Nathan, that was masochistic of you. I love it.
That was awesome.
We move on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
He's conscious. He just typed in something. Phil Bell, say stand up.
The nurses will be delighted. Moving on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the
In the face of amnesia, that's a straw man statement.
The nurses.
Hey there. Hey there, straw man.
Yeah. Well, literally,
no, Nathan.
You're not conscious. There's no relation to
there is no evidence.
Why don't you just Why don't you just bail out on my hey there, straw man?
Okay, thank you. Puns over. Shout out to Matthew Eastman. He says, Phil would rather we speak about him than the reality of the nature that we find ourselves. Yeah, I think you're right in most instances there, Matthew. That is exactly what they'd prefer. They'd rather, if you disseminate their ad hominem attack on you, which is typically how it starts, to take the subject from the nature of the reality they've just had their ass handed to them with, to their personal attack on you, and hopefully in response, your personal attack on them. So then they can attack your character for using personal attacks, moving ever further away from the argument they've just lost. So yeah, I completely agree with you in most instances. Most of these faceless potatoes would prefer that you put them down than put the globe down.
Phil's here for much needed attention, and we'll give it to him. How's that?
When he's on point, when he's on topic, talking about elevation angle measurements, dip angle corrections, anything like that, I'm more than welcome Phil's presence in that regard. If you can't cope with him circle jerking and suffering amnesia after you had your ass, after you hand him his own ass, then that's your problem. Just gloat in the victory. Once you get used to that, life is a lot less painful for us, by the way, because part of that reinforced pattern that they do is because of the frustration that the people who they subject to it will demonstrate back to them, and they just rub their hands together. Oh, it's working then. Well, that distracted away from my loss quite nicely. I'll do this again. Sometimes they'll go round and round in circles for an entire hour. Why? Well, because it worked beautifully. I didn't concede at the end, did I? I reasserted the same point, and we went round and round in circles. They can walk away knowing that they've just frustrated you.
Sometimes.
Well, if it'll help Phil out any, I'll go ahead and trigger him on the molten iron core, because to get the idea of a center of Earth, you would need the Earth to be flat to measure elevation angles to calculate the sphericity of the surface you just measured as flat.
They're focusing on at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, as in it would need a defined radius to state that it's at the centre, and your radius is going to be derived from a flat plane. I like it.
Yeah,
let's trigger him further. Any sign that water vapor is a gas?
That's technically an ad hom personal attack. He's not presenting an argument. It's just a personal attack. That was just pointing out something he's done in the past that's stupid. Well, 2 days.
Well, hold on.
Cheap shot.
He's claimed to be a subject matter expert, though. Or he claims to be a subject. I don't think that's an ad hom to point out that he didn't know that.
Only for 2 days. He got his understanding back after 2 days.
No, I don't know if he ever admitted to being wrong about that.
No, he did. He did. I'll give him credit where it's due. He's admitted it to me in the past. He was, in fact, the first to actually show even an ounce of humility in that regard. Hence, I'm actually slightly defending him in that regard. In other words, I'll go, no, this is a cheap shot. My next sentence before answering this question was, no, this is definitely a cheap shot. And he had a bit of humility about it. He was like, okay, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong.
Did you really admit that?
I apologize. Hold on. I'd like to apologize then. I didn't know he admitted he was wrong. I'm sorry.
You're thinking of Sean Hawkins.
Neither did I.
Sean Hawkins.
And I'll take it back.
Yeah. He doesn't have to do it again. But in any event, I distinctly remember him having some humility in this regard. So I laid off him and then focused on Sean Hawkins, who had absolutely no humility in that regard whatsoever. So then I ascribed it to him. Well, realistically, it should have been immediately ascribed to Phil because he was the most senior person in that discussion, right? Why wasn't it? Well, because he did actually show some humility and go, okay, I got it wrong. After a day.
What did he get wrong?
2 days.
Gas, water vapor.
What did the physicist?
Water vapor being a gas?
So a professed physicist says that water vapor isn't a gas, but as long as he admits he's wrong, he's good to go, right?
No, I just say this is a cheap shot. I'd say when someone's pointing it out and bringing it up, it is a cheap shot.
Right, so what's your opinion on a physicist that doesn't know what fucking water vapor is?
At the time it happened, that's an embarrassment, and it was. And now, obviously, me disagreeing or agreeing is meaning that this is getting labelled whether I like it or not, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a fucking clown. I'd like to bring up another topic, if you don't mind.
Yeah, be my guest.
I ask in chat, because we have Ether believers, make sure you tune in today. We're going to last call Ether. So I asked Birdman, who's in here, what is Ether? His answer to me was, our thoughts and dreams manifest. So is that the definition of Ether? Birdman.
Is that what I said the definition was?
Yeah, that's what I asked. What the
Let's
fuck?
go back and read it. Let's go see it.
Let's go back and read it.
Calm down, everyone. Let's take this down 3 notches straight away.
Go for it.
Stop.
Let's read it. Let's see what I said.
What is Ether, clown?
Ether is the element above the air.
The element above the air.
Yes, before
so
the mind.
Element. Okay.
Yes,
so it's
just
an
like
element.
the mind is.
So it's an
like mind.
No, we're not talking about mind. We're talking about ether. Ether.
Yep, that's the element.
So it's an element. Diarrhea of the mouth. You said it's an element. Chemical structure, please.
It's the element that is
Chemical
air
structure, please.
Yeah, rompus me. That's cool.
Chemical structure, clown fuck. You said it's an element. Chemical structure, please.
Calling names makes it right, huh?
Chemical structure.
Okay, okay. I've got to step in. Both of you, please stop.
Calling names makes you right, doesn't it?
Just stop a second,
That's your
please.
belief,
Don't respond
isn't
to
it?
him.
That's how you do it. You rumpus me.
Stop for a moment.
And you ask me a question and then cut me off, right?
We heard.
That's your tactic because you don't know. You found something you don't know. And you can't
dude, shut
explain
up.
it. Dude, is Ether? Could Ether
Don't take charge of the
Earth,
questions.
air,
I
fire,
will,
or water?
Birdman.
No,
I will
it's
remove
not.
you, Birdman.
Is the mind made of Earth, air,
Birdman,
fire,
you're
and
just
water?
rumpusing this
Don't
entire
wanna hear?
conversation,
Gotcha.
so you become a dick.
Yep.
So you've decided.
So you don't.
So this is what
We're
Ether
gonna pluck
believers
your
do.
wings.
So this is what Arwin will now do, or Neil, now that he's decided to rumpus. They decide to join in every single time it happens. So he's become totally unreasonable. He's offered up a claim. Ether's an element. QE has said, I want to see the chemical structure of this so-called element. And this is what it's descended into. No, he's calling you a name because you've ignored his question 4 times. He asked you to give it.
I've answered it.
Now you're rumpusing me? Then you decided that you were going to take charge of the question asking. Yeah, that'll be my job. This is my show. No, my friend, you won't take charge of the questions being asked. You will, however, offer up some backing for your claim that it's an element. That would be by providing its chemical structure, not just talking continually through the host. If you continue to talk through me, Birdman, you will be removed. No, somebody's decided to server mute him. So eventually someone had to mute you because you couldn't tolerate being listened to, right? I'll try again with him on server mute, whoever it was. Thank you, because I'd have just removed him for taking over the show because he's been asked a difficult question he can't answer. Bloody for believers. He's been asked what the chemical structure is for the element he claimed. Rumpusing descends. He can't give one. It's non-manifest. It's total nonsense.
Simple question. You claimed it was an element. I just asked you what the chemical structure of the element was. That's it.
Who said it's a chemical?
You said it was an element.
You did.
It's one of the material elements, yeah.
It's one of the material elements, so it must have chemical structure.
Yep, it's not spiritual, so it's material.
So, chemical structure, please.
What's the chemical structure of yourself? Do you have a chemical structure?
Carbon, quite a lot of water.
Are you a chemical?
Sorry, guy, can you just give him the chemical structure of ether?
At some point, that everything is not physical matter.
Yeah, that's fascinating. You've just said it is.
Real?
You just said it is. So can you tell us what the chemical structure is, given that completely contrasting statement that you're now going to rumpus me summarising? You saying it is manifest and physical, and then telling us that not everything is manifest and physical is a stark contrast to you claiming it is when we asked you to show it.
It's subtle material.
Okay, can you have the chemical structure for that subtle? Like helium's quite subtle.
Let's have this chemical structure for the sun.
No, ether, the thing you're claiming.
Yeah, see, laugh because you don't know.
Yeah, we're asking you for your claim of ether. You said it had some elements to it, some physicality to it, part of the nature of our reality, according to you. Now, the chemical structure seems beyond you, and you want to ask us what the chemical structure of the sun is? We didn't make any claims about it. You're the one making a claim about ether.
Yeah, he said it was physical material element, right? What's the chemical structure then?
How about what's it made out of? Is that better for you?
Yeah.
Support his claim. He said it was a material, physical element. Yep, he's even confirmed it. Give us the chemical formula or structure, please.
Yeah, give us the chemical construction.
No, that's not a question to us. You made a claim that it was physical, material, element. What is the chemical structure, please?
Yeah, Fundy, mute me. You got it.
There's no Fundy muting going on. For the audience's benefit, this is a tactic that somebody being defeated does. Not only will they engage in constant rumpusing, that would be talking through both the person asking them a question and me, the show host, they'll also project that fundy muting that's currently going on as I speak straight onto the person that they don't want to answer. So he's made a claim. He's also attempted to turn that claim into a question of QE. It's not been tolerated. So no, it's not going to be you asking the questions when you're asked to prove your claim. Nor will this constant stream of fundy muting. See that? That's what you're getting. He's not listening to a single word I say anymore.
It's
just
about
chanting
control.
through me, chanting through the host, summarising what he's just done, to the point where someone in the server has to eventually mute him. Intolerant. That's what you are. Intolerant of being proven wrong. You can't back your claim. You've been asked at least 7 times. You haven't
proven anything.
You're the one making the claim of Ether. Why are you telling me I haven't proven anything? I'm not claiming anything. You are.
I'm not either.
Yeah, you are. You're claiming Ether. You're claiming it's part of our physical makeup of reality. An element. Elemental to our reality is your claim.
Yeah, the mind.
Yes, so give us the structure, you stupid boy.
Have a structure?
Does the mind have a structure? Does that make sense to the question? Does that make sense to the question and your claim? You said Ether was physical, material, and elemental, and then you asked us for what the mind is? Is that coherent to you?
Yeah. Do you have a mind?
Okay, I'm going to say it. I'm going to summarize it. Again, to all you Ether believers, second time on the same show, you are an embarrassment to me personally as a flat earther when you come here and talk this nonsense to an audience, to people who can coherently think about their world. And you start telling them that part of their world, an elemental aspect of it, is Ether. You're an embarrassment to us.
Then we have Cuddles the Pirate, who boot-scooted almost immediately when I came on mic. He says manifest and physical are not the same.
What?
Yeah.
Right, so it's not an element, it is a molecule type. That's what Ether is.
QE, they claim it's God, especially Cuddles. Cuddles thinks Ether is God.
Yeah, okay, but that's all nonsense. But there is actually something called Ether within chemistry. I presented it.
Right, just going to read out the dictionary definition of manifest. Clear or obvious to the eye or mind. Or as a verb, show a quality or feeling by one's acts or appearance. To demonstrate.
So non-manifest would be non-demonstratable then, wouldn't it?
Yep, correct. Pretty much knocks out Ether.
It seems to me that at least...
Just one second.
After you answer what is Ether.
You want me to answer what is Ether?
Yep.
Ether is essentially a field. That's what Ether is.
A field, like a baseball field?
No. Analogous to a magnetic field, being that there's
no, a magnetic field is a magnetic field. We're looking for what Ether is.
So what are the
No, not a question. Not a question to me.
Why is this the case? Every time somebody who believes in Ether gets something hard asked of them, i.e. show us what you believe in, they start asking us questions. Why is that?
I don't know. They're clowns.
Because you want to invoke a medium, saying that medium has to be consistent of material.
No mention of medium. Nobody here is mentioning mediums. Not one of us is mentioning any medium at all. You're the only one talking about mediums.
Okay, so does a magnetic field require...
No, it does a magnetic field. No. What is Ether? Good God, man.
Ether is the dielectric field.
What's a field and what's dielectric?
Field is an ether perturbation modality.
Oh, there's the circular banjo, do-si-do. So now the field is ether. What's ether? Ether's a field and a field is ether, right? Thanks.
Embarrassing, this circular logic, this nonsense that you scoffed down at the Feast of Nonsense when you got here, got to Flat Earth and were told that ether was real, and then force-fed Michelson, Morley and other shite. That's embarrassing that you haven't figured out that this is nonsense yet. It embarrasses me.
Nathan, can you
But
define
there's something
a magnetic
about
field?
So why are you asking me to define things? You're asking me to define what a magnetic field is. I'm not claiming one. I'm not using it to make any claims about anything you are. Yet when we ask you what ether is, you start shouting at us to prove what magnetic fields are. Who cares? I'm not using them to claim anything you are. Some nonsense that's embarrassing.
Why can't you see
Can
this?
I please share a bit of a factoid about fields? I'll keep it short, but it's very informative, right? So every field that has been established within science, which is, as far as I know, really only magnetic fields and related. All magnetic fields are derived from a material that causes the magnetic field. So how could this ever apply to ether in any form when it's specifically designated as the counter situation and thus not derived from anything physical? It could never be a field.
See, what he wants to do is quiz you on your knowledge of what you've just claimed. He's not going to back his ether. He's not going to show us ether. He's not going to qualify ether or describe ether. But he will argue with you about magnetism. He can do that.
Nathan, I could put an end to all this. I'm going to put an ad on Craigslist and Facebook. I'm selling non-manifested ether for $100. And when they come, they'll say, where is it? I say, give me the 100. It's non-manifested. It's all around you. I'll just make money off these guys.
Hold up. That can't be the same corner I'm selling my geometric horizons, right? Like, that's my
Can we
corner.
double up? Can we double up on that swap meet?
Yeah. We can do that. You're my people, so we can do that.
I'll bring the drinks.
My point is that fields are secondary, so how could this alleged ether, be a field? It makes absolutely no mechanical sense with everything that is known.
It's amnesia, Arwin. Come on, you just said it.
Well, it's
Is there a magnetic field
But you might be
associated with
onto
an electric
something.
field, Arwin?
I mean,
And
this
if
is
so,
an ideology-driven thing.
What's the material associated with that?
And what's that got to do with ether?
What's ether?
What's that got to do with ether?
Well, I'm just addressing Arwin's claim that there has to be.
Oh, I see. Rather than dealing with your claim of ether, you were addressing Arwin's claim. So it's much better that you latch onto his description of magnetism and fields than actually proving your claim of ether. It's much better to argue with that, right?
I told you what ether was. You denied it. That's not my
What did
fault.
you tell us it was again? just run it by us one more time.
I told you. Yeah, it's the dielectric field.
What's a field? You were asked what a field was. What's a field? Like a baseball field, you were asked.
Perturbation modality.
What perturbation modality?
It's he's saying it's a carrier for his wave.
Sorry, say again, John.
When he says perturbation modality, it's a mode for his wave to travel in.
Perturbation modality, that's physical.
He's just migrating from one thing to another. What is ether? This. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, no, that. No, that ether. The next. One scattergun explanation to another. None of it actually explaining what it is. That is what Ern Wheeler instigated, and that's what they do.
This is what they call.
To perturbate something, it has to be physical. So what's perturbating?
Yeah, so the loss of the dielectric breeds the magnetic field. So these two fields are synonymous with one
magnetic. No, they're not. We're still asking for ether, not magnetic fields.
That is the secondary half of
not secondary, field. Primary.
Primary would be the dielectric, as I already told you.
Dielectric. That is the ether, dielectric.
The dielectric
Define
field
dielectric.
is the ether, unmanifest.
Non-manifested. Here we go again.
Yeah, the dielectric field is unmanifest, whereas...
That means it's not real.
It can't be.
That's non-physical then. So you can't show it's non-physical.
How do you know?
Not real, non-manifest. Non-manifest. Right?
Non-manifest means a disclaimer.
Like I told you, you can't separate the magnetic from the dielectric field. They're two fields in one, essentially. The
really?
Field
really?
Okay, you just did though.
Really? Really? Is that true?
Really?
Define magnetic. Yeah, fuck with. So define magnetic and then define electromagnetic for us, please.
Why don't you try answering a question, King?
Uh-huh. Hey, Nathan, ask these fuckwits to define magnetic and then electromagnetic and get your popcorn.
Correct.
Define magnetic, then electromagnetic. Differentiate between the two.
You can't.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that as soon as you tell me the discrete particle.
What's ether? Particle? Yeah.
Right, he just told us. He said it's the dielectric, and that dielectric is non-manifest. That's where we got to, correct?
Oh, God. Sorry. I didn't hear that.
The dielectric is unmanifest, but as it loses its inertial energy, it breeds the magnetic field.
Guys,
so these two things
everyone in G+, hold on. Stop. That includes you. Stop. Does nobody here stop? Does nobody here stop? Yeah, I'm trying to stop them. Yeah, that means stop. Yeah, I'm trying to stop them, but you can't stop either. So you're just as bad. I'm trying to tell them to stop interrupting you because I can hear what he's saying. Guys in G+, please can you stop rumpusing him halfway through? Neil, stop it. I want to hear what he says. So far, we've got the dielectric that is non-manifest. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as the dielectric loses its potential, it breeds the magnetic field. These two fields are synonymous with one another. Yes, the dielectric is unmanifested. It's not quantifiable. However, the magnetic field is. And this is the secondary half of the ether field. It's these two fields as one. And the only way we can associate anything physical with ether would be through the magnetic field. This is why you have things like electricity containing these two fields, all right, being the dielectric and the magnetic. It's the two necessary constituents of the electric field. And even Oliver Heaviside, Maxwell, Tesla.
Okay, I don't need you to rattle through this. No, stop. Thank you. Okay, so what I've got from your description is there's a electric field and a dielectric field. And the dielectric field, which is, according to you, a necessary component for the magnetic field, is non-manifest. Correct? Unmanifest, you said. So it's unmanifest, but simultaneously a necessary requirement for the other field. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, something that is unmanifest cannot be an antecedent.
Yeah.
How does something?
Everyone shut up. Shut up. Do I have to tell you again? Let him answer. I'll say again because he's obviously ignored it. There was a short pause, so you all thought I was addressing you. No, I wasn't. Something that is unmanifest, in quotes, cannot be an antecedent. Full stop. End of statement.
Well, it is because the dielectric is the pure potential that the other field will actually propagate.
Sorry, the potential is something that is stored, right? There we go again with G+. Third time's the charm. Can't keep the mouth shut. Potential. I haven't finished. Yeah, thank you, G+. That's his now cue to interrupt me before I've even made a statement. You haven't even started yet. Sorry, potential is its potential abilities to do things. Yeah? Now we can show how much potential something has in terms of how much storage it has. Now, if it's unmanifest, as you put it, that's the opposite of being manifest. So therefore, you can't describe it as having potential if it's non-manifest. Because to be manifest would be clear and obvious to the mind or eye. If it's not clear or obvious to the mind or eye, you cannot qualify its potential.
So can I answer now? Or
it wasn't a question. It was a statement of how stupid this nonsense is, how embarrassing you are to me based on your description of the potential of things that are unmanifest. That was an end of the statement annihilating your nonsense that embarrasses me.
Not even close, kid. You think fields are made up of particles? Is that what you think?
So did I say that? Did the words cross my lips? No. What I said was something that is non-manifest cannot be an antecedent. You cannot measure the potential of something that is not clear or obvious to the eye or mind. That would be manifest. That's the end of my statement that annihilates ether.
So
the nonsense you claim that embarrasses all of us.
Particles, physical medium, which.
So I didn't say anything about particles. I asked at the beginning of that last statement, did those words cross my lips? The answer is no.
Yeah, you're saying that.
No, the answer is not yeah. And then you talking through me, the answer is no, those words did not cross my lips. The words that did were non-manifest fields cannot be an antecedent because it's a contradiction in terms. Further to that, something that is not clear or obvious to the eye or mind cannot have its potential measured. Those were the words that did cross my lips, nothing to do with particles. You're an embarrassment. You embarrass every flat earther who calls themselves a flat earther. That's what you are. You're an embarrassment. Telling me how much potential things that are non-manifest have. You're just idiots. You scoff down this shite at the feast of nonsense and you're puking it up all over the table, embarrassing us all at this party we're all trying to enjoy. You're just the embarrassing idiot puking up on the table.
Ethereal fantasist.
These aren't my feelings. Something that is not manifest cannot have its potential measured. You are an embarrassment based on that factual statement I have made, based on me listening to your nonsense and then ripping it to shreds based on the contradiction in terms of the potential you can have in something non-manifest.
Show me the material.
I'm not going to show you jack, except my ass, as it comes down with a sweaty pair of bollocks, teabagging your nonsense about ether. That's what you can have.
You're fucking weak.
Yeah, don't swear at me, dick brain. You lost when you told me you could measure the potential of something non-manifest. That was you losing. I didn't ask you anything. I made a statement of fact that annihilated the embarrassing shite you spew. The stuff you swallowed at the feast of nonsense we all were at.
Fucking lazy.
Yeah, just stop swearing at me. I'll be the one swearing at you for the embarrassing shite you spew, Mr. I can show the potential in something non-manifest. Idiot.
Can I ask a question to him, Nathan?
I guarantee you fucking won't.
Yeah, just keep swearing as I humiliate you, Dumbo.
Find a magnetic field. Give me the.
Yeah, we're not talking about magnetic fields. I didn't mention magnetic fields. I mentioned the field that is non-manifest that you say depends on the magnetic field. The two are obviously dependent upon each other. Why? Because of the potential in something non-manifest. How many times have I got to embarrass you idiots who believe in ether? He's so loud, he's making his mic clip to the point where he's literally distorted to all hell. Do you really need to eat your microphone when you're shown to be wrong?
Embarrassment. And so is cute.
Yes, you're projecting your own embarrassment now. I say they're embarrassing with a description of how and why they're embarrassing with non-manifest potential. And they spew it through a distorted mic over the top of me, project it back onto me. It's pathetic. You're thick because you've said something stupid. Not, no, you're thick. Bloody 12-year-olds is what we deal with. That's the mental intelligence level of someone who believes in ether. Shown to be stupid and they go, no, you're stupid.
Give me the material.
I'm not going to give you jack except my ass and balls as I teabag your corpse. Something non-manifest cannot have its potential measured. You've not addressed that. The chanting and mumbling through the devastating facts that destroy your stupid, embarrassing claim isn't going to help you answer the question.
Maybe if you just chant louder in your microphone, we will get the point.
Yeah, what's the material? Give me the material associated with the magnetic field, Arwen. Go for it. What are you going to tell me?
Fields are secondary. Fields are secondary.
Hold up, Brian's right.
Yeah, and red herring. The red herring, I'm begging the question. Complete nonsense.
Magnetic field. You can't do it. None of you can you?
Fields are secondary.
What has that got to do with ether? Hang on, Owen. Hang on. Please, if I ask you questions, can you be quick for a moment?
He can't. He's too triggered, Brian. Brian. He can't. All he can do is chant non-stop. What he's done is kept his mic open for the last 5 minutes straight and not stopped talking the entire time. He's descended into Fundy chanting. So he can't respond to you, Brian.
I just want to be able to ask him a couple of questions where he can give me a yes or no. I don't want that. It's just yes or no on the questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you that you won't get that from him. All he can do is chant non-stop through everything everyone says. So you're asking me to offer him up for a coherent conversation, something he's now incapable of. He can't do that anymore. He's incapable of it, Brian. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
He's a coward.
Fuck you, Neil. You fucking shit. You're a fucking.
There we go.
Sorry, what was that? You wanted to say what to him, Brian? Because his response to me explaining that he can't cope with a reasonable conversation was to say, "Fuck you, Neil. Fuck you, Neil." That was his response to that, Brian. So you want to try? You want to have a go? Seriously?
Well, it's up to him. That's the point. It's up to him. If he wants to actually answer a couple of questions, just yes or no, I just need a yes or no on these questions, then
answer your question as soon as you answer mine.
You got no question.
You're making a claim about something. I need to clarify what it is that you're talking about. And I'm looking for yes or no answers to my questions. That's all. Are you willing to do that?
Chocolate. Brian's got the mic. Neil as well. Let him make a statement. Don't talk through every bloody word he's saying, because you want to have your turn to speak.
Okay. All I want is yes or no answers.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Yes, all
I want is yes or no answers to a couple of simple questions. They're answers we all want. So are you willing to answer those things?
Someone server muted him.
Are you willing to answer my question first? I've answered plenty of questions.
No, I'm not willing to. You're making a claim, and I'm looking to clarify what you're claiming. Are you willing to answer a couple of simple yes or no questions to clarify your claim? Yes or no?
All right, go for it.
Okay. Are you claiming that ether is a field?
Yes.
Are you claiming that ether is an element?
No.
Right. So you're claiming ether is a field. Right. So how would you go about proving that this field exists?
Already been done, man. You can see the dielectric inducing with the magnetic creating electrification.
No,
this is how they came
not
up.
ether. That's other things that you're calling dielectric and other things magnetic. Please, you are claiming ether is a field. Please provide evidence that this field exists. Don't tell me about dielectric, magnetic, electric, electromagnetic, just ether.
Again, I've asked the question that no one's yet to answer. So you guys only want to say something's real if it has some sort of a physical property to it, like a particle or some sort of physical essence. However, there's
support your claim. Yes or no? Are you not going to support it? Yes or no? Are you going to support it? Yes. Not support it? No.
He tried to, Brian. He gave you a contradiction in terms. So he said that you can see the interaction of the dielectric field, but he already clarified with me previously that was... Just bear with me, Brian. So he said you can see it in the dielectric field interaction with the electric field. That's what he said. Yeah?
In contrast, yes. They contrast.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I can listen and repeat. Thank you. Yeah. But the problem with that is that it contradicts your own definition of what that dielectric field is. You're saying it's non-manifest, unmanifest. So to be manifest is to be clear and obvious to the mind or eye. So when you say you can see the unmanifest field, that is an embarrassing contradiction in terms spewed up from the Feast of Nonsense.
I can explain it if you'd like.
No, you don't need to explain how something can be seen when described as unmanifest. It is a contradiction.
Not at all.
Yeah. To be manifest is to be clear or obvious to the eye or mind. Clear and obvious. That's what manifest is. So for you to say you can see the unmanifest dielectric field is to say you can see, then it's manifest, not unmanifest. These two things are contradicting one another. If you can see, it's manifest. Do you get it?
In simple understanding, maybe so, but not in the entire...
Sorry, in simple understanding, no. In Socratic terms, that's what it's defined as. Manifest means you can see it. Unmanifest means it's not going to show itself with the electric field. It means it's not going to do that. So when you say this unmanifest field will show itself, it's not unmanifest in the very definition of the word.
Magnetic fields are manifest.
That's nice. But you're not claiming that that's showing us ether. You're saying that's a consequence of your begging the question that it relies on an unmanifest dielectric field, meaning it isn't seen and can't be to be defined as unmanifest. Because if it was manifest, you'd see it. And you're saying you can see this unmanifest thing. A contradiction in terms.
Sorry to break the news to you, Nathan. Magnetic fields are not visible, okay? Sorry to break the news to you, kid.
Sorry, I can see the interaction of what magnetic waves do. Magnetic waves are not ether. Magnetic waves, if you want to call them that, are magnetic waves.
Fucking define it, and you want to tell me...
Sorry, that's nothing to do with ether. That's magnetism. Sorry, it's a separate subject.
Not at all, Nathan.
Oh, it's automatically assumed to be directly connected, and you can show it by showing the dielectric unmanifest. Yeah, that contradiction in terms. You can show us that unmanifest dielectric field, can you?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear? You all right?
So if you chant through everything I say, and then at the end of chanting through me because you haven't wanted to listen to me, pointing out the contradiction in terms that is your claim you can show the unmanifest. Yeah, that doesn't...
Yeah, actually you can. You can. You can through, if you look at any electrical circuit, or even, for example, a magnet under a ferrocell, you can see its conjugate field, which is it's the field of its geometry of force and motion,
Sorry, what's it?
and inertia and acceleration.
What's it? Ether, right?
No, you...
Oh, no. So, again, we're back to not talking about showing ether, and the manifestation in this instance, the thing we're seeing, the thing that is manifest, isn't the unmanifest dielectric field, then?
Yes, it is. It's in contrast.
Oh, it is? So we are showing the unmanifest, then, a contradiction in terms. If it's unmanifest, by definition, it's not shown. You embarrassment to flat Earth.
In the hyperboloid and the torus, you will actually see in itself the ether. It's force and motion and inertial and acceleration.
See the ether. Is that what you just said?
Yes,
you can see ether. Show it to us.
You can. Yeah,
Show
you
it
can.
to us. Show it to us. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Yeah, you can. Show it to us. Right now. In chat. We can see the ether. I got to add that to my list. Oh, it's already there.
Look at a ferrocell or a supercell of a magnet.
Yeah, that's a ferrocell. That's not ether. So, are you going to show us or what?
Shut up. QE, a ferrocell is just a tool to see it.
Sorry, we didn't ask what a ferrocell is.
Okay.
Yeah, show it. You said you could see the ether. Let's see it.
Will you relax? Jesus.
Would I relax? Feeling. Oh, feelings, Nancy. Show us the damn ether.
There it is.
Where at?
Post it in chat.
I'm in main
20, it's in lobby text, actually, I think it
lobby
is.
Text. I'm in main chat.
Neil.
Let me put it in lobby text. Hold on. There you go.
All right. Let me copy
You see
the
the
image.
center?
I'll send it to you, Nathan. Where you want it? Master B?
Please.
Do you see it? Do you see it?
Not yet.
Do you see it?
We'll
That is
Hold on,
pure.
drum roll.
There it is,
Guys, got to give this a bit of a build-up. The audience is highly anticipating this, the first ever showing of Aether. So I'm quite excited. I've kept the live show going.
Actually, not the first. It's not the first.
There it is, Ethan.
It may be the first to you.
Just call me Ethan.
Sorry, Nathan. I combined Ether with Nathan.
It's a picture.
It's in Master B.
It's a freaking photograph.
Okay, thank you, Johan. Right, we've got it up.
Congratulations, Neil. You identified a photograph. That's how we show things to each other.
Okay, I love it. We've got arrows, and they're pointing at... What are they pointing at?
The torus, the hyperboloid.
The holes, the black holes.
Yeah.
So that was very high-pitched.
Yeah.
Space believing Muppets.
So what am I looking at? Where there's nothing. The bit where there's nothing is Aether, is it?
That is its pure inertial and potential. Yes.
Is that why they call it non-manifest?
Say that again.
Is that why they say it's non-manifest? Because we can't see it.
Yes. That is non-Cartesian space. Yes.
So that's
space has no properties.
So that's you showing us a contradiction in terms.
How is it a contradiction?
Yeah, you don't understand why it's a contradiction in terms?
No, why don't you explain?
Sure. You're showing us something that cannot be seen.
Are you looking at it?
What, that which cannot be seen?
What aren't you seeing?
I don't know. You're not showing it me.
I'm confused. Can you
should be.
Your question?
Yeah, you're saying that you are showing me the non-manifest. That is to say, that you are showing me that which cannot be made clear or obvious to the mind or eye. So you are showing me that which cannot be shown. That's what you're showing me. You don't understand how that's a contradiction in terms.
No. I didn't claim that, but
no, you did. You said that you were showing me it was non-Cartesian counter space. That would be non-manifest Aether. That would be you claiming to show me that which cannot be shown, a contradiction in terms.
Well, I'm showing you.
That which can't be shown.
You know...
You're showing me that which can't be shown. You're showing me the non-manifest. You're showing me that which isn't clear or obvious to the mind or eye. An impossibility and contradiction in terms. You know, you're not showing me that.
That's where all its power comes from the torus field, yes.
Oh, I see. So from this can't be shown non-manifest place, these two black dots, that's where all energy of the universe comes from. Wow. What makes you think that?
Can we clarify? Is this the same guy that said that Aether was unmanifested?
Yeah, unmanifest meaning impossible to make clear to the mind's eye or in any way shown. He's showing that. Yeah, that's right. That contradiction in terms is the same guy.
Don't pictures make that clear, though?
No, because I'm just trying to establish because it sounds like somebody else. Is this somebody else? The person that's showing us the picture.
Dicelo was on that track. You guys are talking with Dicelo. I'm somebody else.
Okay. So what you're showing us is manifested, right? Because obviously that's what showing means, right?
Well, you can see what it's manifesting. That's the orange torus fields around it.
So to be clear, we can see what it's manifesting. So we can see
dots, yes.
So we can see the unmanifest manifesting. Do you not also see this as a contradiction? We're seeing the unmanifest manifest, correct?
You see pure potential and inertia manifesting itself, yes.
So the pure potential would be the unmanifest Aether. We're seeing the unseen, correct? You're an embarrassment. We're seeing the unseen, you stupid idiots. You're an embarrassment to Flat Earth, all of you idiots. You deserve to be shouted at the same way as the Globers are. You're a fucking disgrace. I am not seeing the unseen. It's a contradiction in terms. You complete idiot.
Do you know how an...
Don't ask me something, you stupid boy. I'm not seeing the unseen, you fuckwit. You're an embarrassment to flat Earth.
Believe in the conservation...
Don't tell me about what I believe. I am not seeing the unseen. That's
AC
a contradiction in terms.
Of power and lose
Shut
them
up.
all at once.
Shut up.
With no repercussions.
Shut up. We are not seeing the unseen. That's stupid. You are stupid. This claim is stupid. Everybody saying we can see the non-seeable is also stupid. All of you who believe in ether are stupid. You believe in seeing the unseen. That makes you embarrassing to all of us. It needs stopping, you bloody idiots.
Cringy.
All right, what else do you have to say about it? Anything more?
Well, you got to start at the top with Ken Wheeler.
Is Ken
Can
Wheeler
you even
a flat
spell
earther?
Ken Wheeler, Neil?
God, are you not going to address a single word I've said? You've just told me we're seeing the unseen.
You're seeing...
You're an embarrassment! Sit down, ether dick, and shut up! We are not seeing the unseen. This is stupid. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. We can't see that which cannot be seen. You're saying we can see the unseen in this picture. It's insanity.
You're seeing a dielectric force in motion.
We're seeing the dielectric, which is unmanifest. The dielectric, according to you idiots who believe in ether, is unmanifest. Therefore, we're seeing the unseen.
Yeah.
No, you stupid dick! Don't call yourself a flat earther. You're an embarrassment to me and everyone on this panel. Yeah, we are seeing the unseen. What a joke. It's a sad day to call yourself a flat earther, I tell you what. I feel ashamed to call myself one of you.
Non-Cartesian would be fourth dimensional.
They just wanted their gravity back.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry.
Non-Cartesian would be... Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Non-Cartesian means fourth dimensional. What is this fourth dimensional?
Pseudo-Ramonian. For space, time bending.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it all comes back to
Do you see the bending of the hyperboloid and torus field?
Yeah, sound a lot like bending fourth dimensional space-time in your non-Cartesian, non-length, breadth and depth. Oh, what else have we got that contrasts this non-Cartesian hyperbolic bollocks? No, mate, it's just a contrast you gobbled down at the Feast of Nonsense. So they've got something to argue with in contrast to their fourth dimensional space-time. That's why Bob from Globebusters thinks gas goes down. Because it's basically gravity, you stupid idiot.
Yep.
No, it's definitely a lot different than gravity, but...
Oh, really? Why does Bob from Globebusters think gas goes down, then?
Why are you asking me what he thinks?
Because it's part of the claim of ether that directly parallels pseudo-force space. Try and keep up with the conversation, you moron. We're explaining why.
Yeah.
You brought up the dielectric field. Come on.
Yeah, he claims dielectric acceleration causes the gas to go down, go boom, boom. Dielectric. The dielectric field, the thing that's unmanifest.
Yep, unmanifest.
Not ether. Thing that's not ether.
Yeah, is this sinking in? It's just the Feast of Nonsense crap to contrast gravity. But you think you're smart challenging us with this crap about seeing the unseen. And you don't accept that it's a contradiction in terms when you see the unmanifest. You're just idiots.
Manifest. I said it's pure potential. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah, the pure potential of a field that's non-manifest. And as I said to Die Slow, you cannot measure potential in something non-manifest.
Yes, you can, and that's...
Oh, really? So in something that cannot be seen, or made clear to the mind even, I can measure something and how much its potential it's got, when it's not even clear to be seen in the mind or physically. Oh, I'm going to measure the potential in that thing that can't be seen or qualified physically or even in the mind. I'm going to measure its potential, am I? Dick. Chuckle for me, you embarrassment to flat Earth.
You said
How
that
do you
already.
measure the unseen?
You can't! These guys are an embarrassment. All they've done is gobbled down this nonsense that has been put on the table for us to spew up to be argued next to gravity. I ask why one of the gurus of this nonsense claim believes that gas falls. I'm like, why? Well, because he believes there's a dielectric, that would be the non-manifest field you're arguing for, causing it to not happen. Because it doesn't happen, gas expands in all directions. You dicks have got gas falling, but you don't realise that it's part of the gravity that you've been force-fed to argue next to with a contrasting bullshit claim. You're not recognising that yet, you thickos in flat Earth. You are all an embarrassment.
Field. Everything has an electric field, you understand that,
That's
right?
fascinating. Not everything's got an ether that's non-manifest directly connected to it, though.
It doesn't...
Yeah, laugh for me, you fundy dick. You're just embarrassing to us who actually take this stuff seriously. You want to seem smart by regurgitating crap that you've managed to listen to repeatedly from other idiots who regurgitate it, and then you chuckle when we embarrass you with your nonsense and contrasting opinions that completely annihilate their self in the sentence they're being used in. Seeing the unseen is just a nonsense that flat earthers are embarrassing us with, and I'm tired of it. This is why people think flat earthers are stupid, because they are. You are stupid when you go around garbaging this nonsense out of your mouth. It just embarrasses me and everyone around me. I hate it. I hate this nonsense claim.
You're not even going to look into it yourself.
I've looked into it. You've told me it's the essence of what's on screen now. Seeing something that is, by definition, unseeable.
Did I say I was an expert on the subject?
Why are you babbling on about it then if you're not an expert?
That's just surface level research then, Nathan.
Sorry, surface level research led me to the contradiction in terms that you're claiming. Yeah, that's the silence I expected when I point out there's a contradiction in terms about seeing something that's non-manifest. That's exactly the silence I expect. I have researched this shite. I've been here long enough. I know feast of nonsense material when I see it, and I know vomit when I hear it coming out of your mouth.
So you obviously don't understand electricity, if that's the case.
Right, when I assume that there's a non-manifest field directly connected to electricity, I don't do that.
Yeah, then you're completely...
Yeah. No, why would I be assuming that there's a non-manifest, non-seeable, never to be shown, but also simultaneously on screen with a square around it, the unseen scene, that is directly connected? This black hole is simultaneously the contrasting field that electric fields need. No, I'm definitely not going to assume that. Definitely not when it's a contradiction in terms. Definitely not based on a yellow square around two black dots. No, that doesn't convince me of counter space. It doesn't convince me of pseudo force space that contrasts it, and it certainly doesn't convince me of ether.
You don't understand electricity.
That's an ad hominem attack. We're asking about ether.
Talking about ether.
Is electricity ether?
No, it is not.
No, it's one of the most...
No, so who cares?
Who cares, exactly?
Yeah, because you're not going to be paralleling it when you assume there's a simultaneous non-manifest ether field that your electric field relies upon. When it's both non-manifest, meaning we can't see it, and claimed to be shown in these dots, which is a contradiction in terms, and stupid. The fact that you fell for this is embarrassing to me.
How was the AC generator made without even understanding?
So without having ether? It doesn't need ether because we're not going to be assuming that there's a non-manifest field that parallels the electric field that you'll go into when describing generation of electric fields. That isn't going to be paralleled with an assumption of something non-manifest that's also on screen being shown as being manifest and also non-manifest and needed when you assume it. That isn't going to happen. None of us assume it. Only you regurgitate this crap that you scoff down at the feast of nonsense. I'm not going to be assuming it.
All right, Nathan, I'm done with you. I want QE now.
You want QE? What are you,
yeah,
a fucking masochist? you dumb motherfucker.
No, I could be.
Oh, yeah. So, let me ask you a question.
I'm asking the question.
Fucktard. So, you're denying the tenets of quantum mechanics. Is that correct?
What is quantum mechanics?
What are you using to communicate with us now, please?
My phone with a headset.
So your phone, your ignorance is floating light years beyond the forests of Azure, son. Quantum mechanics is the bedrock foundation of solid-state transistors and the entire frigging semiconductor industry as a whole, you ignorant fucking mong. Your position right now is tantamount to Dale Earnhardt Jr. giving an in-race interview and denying the existence of internal combustion engines, you fucking retard.
Actually, that's false because
actually, that's true. Do you know, can you define the difference between conductors, insulators, and semiconductors, please?
No, I'm not answering any of your questions.
So you're fucking muted then. So you're a fucking moron.
His opening attempt was to take control by saying, I'll be asking the questions. I'll take control of this. No, you won't. Dumbest person here.
What place are
Embarrassment
they
to
in?
us all. So they've all come out of the woodwork. I wasn't around on Saturday. I was dealing with wires on my birthday. But they've all decided to crawl out of the woodwork now. You've obviously set them all off. Good. You've set the cockroaches. You've flicked the light switch on and they're all running everywhere.
Yeah, I had the flamethrower with me too. So, as you'll notice, these Ether fuckwits, as soon as you ask them what Ether is, they're going to red herring fallacy you to death. They're going to ask you about everything else besides their claim. That's what they do. That's all they got. They'll change their definition of what Ether, well, they don't even know what it is. But once you nail them down to it, it's a non-manifested medium. In other words, that's what they give you. When you get into some semblance of reason. But they're going to attack everything, man. It's guns a-blazing. What's Ether? Does the mind exist? Do Prusik knots exist? That's what you're going to get. Thanks.
I'm straight that we were told for so long it's unmanifested, and then today somebody's like, look, picture.
Yeah, picture.
What? Why is this the first time we've been presented with a picture? Is this new? Did this come out yesterday? Is this hot off the presses or what? I don't get it.
Ken Wheeler was smearing blood on his plates and sticking it in a field quite some time ago. But with that, I think I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned as this extended live show is going to continue with an after show. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of you smashed the super chat while that was going on that I didn't read out. Hopefully I'll get to you in the after show. And of course, for all of you shared, liked, commented, joined as a member and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a Premiering Stream. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video. Shout out to Unitox Femu. He says, manifesting ego is always cool. Like I did now. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Stay tuned if you're watching on an after show.
Epic.
Whatever's that.
The guy who posted the
Everybody's
picture.
really in form. I just like to say everybody's in a real good form. So I'm proud of you guys. And
I hear you, Paul.
Good form.
Go ahead.
What do you mean good form?
Okay, so everyone decides. Okay, if something you're claiming is true, no amount of scrutiny or questioning, it should be able to withstand it. If it can't withstand it, how do you know it's true? And why did they get triggered? I don't get it. Why did they get triggered?
Because they have a guru whose name is Ken Wheeler, and that's the bottom line.
I want to know where this picture is from. Now, I'm very curious.
I've seen that picture before. There's a fluid, I guess, that can respond to magnetic waves or magnetic fields or whatever.
Ferrofluid.
And they just shine a light in it. What's that?
Ferrofluid. You can use your blood as a cheap substitute. They also use it to cool housings in tweeters.
I thought that was one of the
iron in your blood, so that makes sense.
Yes, Paul, precisely.
I was trying to understand this discussion. How does the Michelson-Morley tie into this?
You tell me.
It does not. It's only by a loose association of logical fallacies that you can bring that into it.
Is the claim that the Michelson-Morley is demonstrating the ether? Is that because there's some sort of, like with Bob's ring laser gyroscope, that it was showing the degrees change?
Michelson-Morley. And those are just two names. What is that?
Interferometry with the I don't know. Is that not an experiment, like a demonstrable?
Well, if it's an experiment, it would have to have a hypothesis, correct?
Is there a wider definition of experiment, though, where it's just demonstrating something?
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
I mean, at least loosely
there is.
in science.
There is. Yes. So the colloquial use of the word experiment. So if you were to experiment with drugs, that would be a colloquial use of the word. But contextually, when we're talking about the Michelson and Morley experiment, they're most definitely talking about it in a scientific term, because it's a test, isn't it? Well, a test in those terms is a hypothesis test. That's what an experiment in this context is.
Right. Scientism. And this is only in the realm of natural science.
Depends. I mean, if you're interested in the physical and natural world, we on Flat Earth Debate most certainly are, then yeah. But if you're interested in what man can produce, then hold on, I haven't quite finished. So if you're, by contrast, interested in what men can produce, that's a different subject matter. That's technology.
Okay. So then is light physical and natural?
Yeah. Did Michelson and Morley establish the cause of light? Wow.
No, I'm just trying to understand how these are supposedly linked.
I'd like to answer that question, Nathan.
It is a naturally occurring phenomenon that has definitely been experimented with, so...
Okay, he asked the question, is light physical? Second question, do you see it? If you see it, then it's physical.
Are you seeing light, or is
definitely
light seeing?
Yeah, definitely. Seeing generally is synonymous with light.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a light on the wall. I see the light source. I'm looking at the wall, and I see the wall. I'm seeing the light source, and I'm seeing the light reflected from the wall. I see it.
He said, are we seeing, or is the light
seeing the same thing as light?
Seeing is the translation of light
flat earthers on this.
Why is he getting rumpus by Arwin? What the hell is going on? Can't hear Paul and the guy talking with Paul, because obviously there's a different conversation going on through the top of them.
Oh, sorry.
What was that, Arwin?
I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was a private conversation.
It's not private, we were recording this, but we'd like to listen to it. I hear what they're saying, as opposed to your interjections.
So seeing is manifest. That's like it's like seeing is manifest, something that's seeing. So I'm saying is light seeing. So it's like you're using a circular definition in that same thing.
No. I don't think I've said. I'm not saying it's. I think there's an idea of how your body or how your mind processes the information or perceives the information that your eyes are seeing. Now, your mind can create things in your head. There's a I call it mental state and a brain state. But your eyes are seeing things, and it's in your mind and brain is processing that information, creating an image in your mind. But if you close your eyes, you stop seeing the light. It's gone as soon as you close your eyes. When I close my eyes, I can't see the light source anymore, and I can't see the light reflected off the wall anymore.
Well, if it's really bright day, you can. With you can see.
So they are synonymous then. Hold on, Paul. Hold on. Hold on, Paul. So you can see then the two are linked intrinsically then.
If you close your eyes and it's a really bright day and you can see like the color red through your eyelids.
Okay, that may be fine. You're seeing red, you're seeing light, but are you resolving what's on the other side of your eyelids?
Yeah, you can close your eyes and see.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I was just trying to understand how they're tying the Michelson-Morley, or supposedly tying that into ether.
Well, okay. This is where the convolution comes in. They're trying to use light to detect the ether with the Michelson-Morley experiment, right? So if you're using something to detect something else, are they the same thing?
That wasn't the claim, Paul. I'm sorry, but that wasn't the claim that they were doing in that.
I must have missed the claim. What's the claim then?
All right, hold on a second. Hold on a second before we go down this stupid road. He said is light physical. So we have to define what physical is. Physical is anything with chemical formula structure, charge, momentum, or spin, or, remember, physical, energy, millielectron volts, kcals, or kilojoules. So yes, light is physical. How about that? Can we start there?
So
it has energy and momentum. Yeah,
how about
energy and momentum.
Registerable.
So when you see, that's a physical phenomenon. Seeing is the physical.
Seeing, yeah, you need light to see, or you can't see. We good?
But that's a physical experiment.
No, that's not an experiment. You're just looking at something.
So you
could argue.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I got you, and I'm trying to tell you, you're going off on an incoherent tangent. Your first question was answered, wasn't it?
It's so that it's physical.
It is physical.
So
you're not sure.
Broad definition of physical.
So you're not. It's a broad definition of what?
Physical.
Physical. Yes, that's the definition of physical. That's matter or energy in our universe. Physical.
Energy is just potential, right?
No.
Okay.
Stick your finger in a light socket. See how much potential you got.
Well, it's got to be grounded.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, if you use the physics term for energy, it's the ability to do work, which is and it's doing work is something physical. So what more is there?
And you can see it.
So light is seeing is working?
Yeah, so you can see it when you shine a light through like a single slit or a double slit, not an experiment, just a demonstration. You can see it hit the detector. It's a real tiny, discrete chunk dot that shows up. So do you think that's physical or is that supernatural?
The double slit experiment?
It's not. You don't have to do a double slit experiment. You just have to shine a light through a single slit or a double slit. Not an experiment. You're just demonstrating. Just shine a light through it. And as soon as something happens on that film or photographic plate, you go over, you put your beak right up next to it, and then you look at it. And then when you see a dot, discrete chunk, yeah, that's quantum mechanics. Yes.
So you're quantifying the light?
You can. It has energy and momentum, yes. And you see it hit the photographic plate. Yep.
So that's how it's physical, because you can quantify it?
Yeah.
Well, and even in your concept of seeing, light is hitting proteins in your eye that is turned into electrical or chemical energy. That energy is through your nervous system to your brain. So work is being done when light hits your eye.
It's fascinating stuff. I mean, appreciate you for fielding my questions.
Yep.
QE, something that confuses me on this is that there's a difference between our vision when it comes to like night vision and day vision. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Oh, bet.
And also, how does that then explain like vivid dreaming and like being able to see images when your eyes are closed?
That's
Say that one more time, please.
I could go into this.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time, please. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no problem. How does light being physical and your eyes required to be open to see explain things like vivid dreaming and being able to see images in your head clearly?
Dreams. Well, dreams are not physical.
Well, that's what I was saying a minute ago.
Reflections of memory storage.
Hold on.
The question is whether they affect people.
Hold on, Paul, Arwin, and QE. Just let whoever it was respond first. Go ahead.
The question oh, goodness. The question isn't whether it's affecting people in emotional ways. The question is whether something is physical or not. Dreams are not physical.
Oh, we see them.
It's quantifiable.
You see dreams?
Yeah, but they're reflections.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Vivid dreams.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Nathan?
Absolutely.
Can you show me?
With your eyes?
Can you show me?
Would they not be physical in the sense they're
I can't show you it.
in the brain?
Sorry.
You can't show
I
us.
just wanted to respond to
Reflections
Nathan's
of your
question there.
memory.
I can't
That's what they are.
technically show you anything that I'm seeing with my eyes, right? I can only show you what I'm seeing with my eyes, and you can see that thing with your eyes. Isn't that
Really?
technically true?
Look, there's a very basic
My
function
bad, Darwin.
to optics,
My bad.
the sight,
My bad.
Okay?
He only addressed
The
me by
eyes
name
receives
directly.
the light
by
information.
Name. By name. He spoke to me. He said Nathan.
Keep going. Jesus.
I really want
You
to
have this
explain
conversation on my behalf. Go ahead, Darwin.
You mean it?
No, obviously not.
Okay.
Yeah, you've never seen a photograph, mate.
Absolutely, but again, that's an image of an image that you see with your eyes, right? That's not technically what you see with your eyes. I mean, it may be somewhat representative of it, but is it actually what you see with your eyes?
Yeah, I can see the photograph with my eyes. I can be shown that because light that had energy dispensed that into the camera, the photographic sensor or film, in the exact same way described to you by QE, therefore quantifying light with its energy. Now, by comparison to something quantifiable and demonstratable when describing light with its energy, can you give me an equivalent when describing a dream? If not, then obviously that's a fail.
Oh, so I'm sorry. I was on mute that whole time. Well, I agree with you somewhat, but where I disagree is that you're equating the photo with what we see with our eyes, but the camera doesn't operate the same way as what our eyes do. So how can it be equated?
It takes light energy to produce a photograph, and it takes light energy for me to see anything, doesn't it? So light could be qualified in terms of how it hits the back of your eye in the same way as it hits the sensor, making it physical. Would we agree? Yes. So I can move on. We agree, yeah?
I'll agree with you. Absolutely.
Right. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's all I need. So that's all we need from you when we say, yeah, light's definitely got energy. Yeah? Now, if you're saying, well, so's dreams, not that it's relevant, it seems non sequitur, but you then need to qualify it in the same way. The energy of the light travels through my eyeball and I can interpret that through my brain and the signals that are generated thereafter. Likewise, light can hit a light sensor in a camera, demonstrating this beyond all certitude that we have a physicality to the light. That's it. That's the end of this discussion.
I know you're gonna think I'm being a smartass here, but this is a genuine question here. What are we qualifying as light, honestly?
The thing that hits the photographic sensor, the thing that QE went through with you 3.5 minutes ago at great extent when he talked about quanta.
Okay. So you don't have to label yourself. I'm gonna review this because like I said, I'm just asking questions here. I'm trying to get information.
Seem very reasonable.
I dropped something in Master B, and also I dropped it into Discord. The difference between brain state and mental state, and I've been making this argument for days now on here because of this. When you see light, with the physical light, it is in a sense changing your brain state because you're getting electrical impulses. But a mental state is what happens with memory and emotion and things like that. That's something happening in the mind. And they're not the same thing because even the description is very distinct things. And they're conflating the two. Your brain state can generate memories, which are you seeing the information that's there, but they're not the same thing. So that's where they're conflating the two, I think.
Either way, this conversation started with Nicholson Morley. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Is there magnetic fields in your dreams? Is there a magnetic field within your dreams?
Yeah, this one time Chucky was chasing me. I'm pretty sure I got him with a magnet.
Yeah, but the point is that there isn't magnetism and electricity in your dreams, as in there isn't something that is akin to what we have in 3D reality, right? So there isn't fields of something in your dreams. Because I know where this is going. This is a kind of a sideways version of trying to prove the ether through dreams. That's what this is about. I've been listening in. That's what this is about. Trying to prove the ether exists and the ether because you dream. But we already have been told many different versions of what the ether is. But we were told earlier the ether was a field. Right? Now, not that they can support this, but the claim is it's a field. So that's in the 3D world, not in your dreams. Dreams, we don't know what they are.
Meanwhile, Michelson Morley is just a parlor trick. You know, there's no... What has come out of it that's been useful?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. But the idea behind
Isn't navigation useful with the ring laser gyroscopes and being able to know your orientation up, down, pitch and yaw when you're flying?
That's just a gyro.
Yeah, that's Michelson Morley.
You think Michelson
to know
Morley
your position in space? Interferometry, that's the technology behind
technology. There it is. So this isn't science. This isn't studying the physical and natural world. This is technology.
But you're navigating the physical
ignoring me.
world.
It seems you're just ignoring me. Yeah, I heard your point.
No,
Isn't it useful? My God, it gets frustrating every time an ether believer's fundamental premises challenge. I didn't need it repeating. You asked, is it useful for navigation? I heard. Then I started addressing it. Midway through, you started chanting, what's going on? There's no need. Number one, Michelson Morley may have refined gyroscopic motion with interferometry, if I could say it. That's technology advancements, though, isn't it? Which is something that's really useful in the world. It's just not science. It's not the study of the world we live in. It's technology, not science.
Well, can I tie the Michelson-Morley experiment down so people can actually attack it?
Yeah, if you like.
Well, what they did is they presupposed the heliocentric worldview, and they presupposed that space was ether. And then they tried to measure the differential between their misunderstanding of the convention of waves traveling north and waves traveling east, and tried to get a phase differential from that.
Okay. Say that one more time. Sorry, I was doing something else. Did you say light was waves?
No, they misunderstood light as waves. I said that part. They misunderstood that.
They gotcha. Sorry.
Michelson-Morley we're talking about.
Yes, it's based on two false presuppositions and one misunderstanding of a convention.
They presupposed.
This little tirade of ether believers will end in about a week, and then it'll slowly die for the course of about 2 months, and then it'll slowly regain momentum over the course of about another 6 weeks, and then we'll be back where we started again.
Yep, it's an aberration.
I mean, my question about so going back to the ring laser gyroscope, it's just a technology. It's not physical science, but it's helping us navigate through the physical world, north, south, east, west, up, down.
What does that have to do with ether?
That's a compass.
You're thinking I don't know. I guess
you're thinking of a compass, not a gyro.
Well, I mean, they both can do that. Compass and gyro.
Oh yeah. How does a gyro find north?
With their non-drift.
Yeah, a compass gyro.
A compass.
I'm just using north, south, east, west as directions, like a
that's nice.
X, Y, Z.
That wasn't my question though. Yeah. If it's useful for navigation, if it's made some advancement, how does the ring laser gyro find north?
I'm not saying it does.
So it's a bit of a downgrade from a compass then?
It does give you orientation.
How does it do that? Excellent. All right. Like it found north, south, east, and west a minute ago, and now doesn't. Okay, how does it find your orientation?
Through starting out at horizontal. And then you have that reference frame, so when you leave the plane or you take off, then you can know flying through space. I'm flying through the air. What is, your orientation?
Yeah, that's a gyro. That's not Michelson-Morley that have invented gyroscopes.
Yeah, but it's the technology, right, that's used. Michelson-Morley interferometry is used in the gyros.
Yeah, but gyros were still gyros before that came along. So we still had gyros. I'm just trying to figure out what the advancement was.
It changed use of physical gyros, spinning a rotor, into the interferometry technology. And they're more accurate.
Right, so it's kind of like comparing an i9 processor with an i7 processor. One's a bit better than the other, but basically they do the exact same thing. So it's not like...
Well, but it's totally different
So it's not like Michelson and Morley have advanced anything, really, at all.
I suppose. I mean, a lot of airplanes still use a gyro, the old rotor type.
So rather than proving ether, when we really look into it, they really refined a bit of existing technology, if you could say they even did that.
Is the problem with ether that it's conflating, like, space, like the realm in which we live?
What, space and gravity? No, we don't live in space. Space, the realm we live, we don't live in space.
I mean, can space, the word space, not vacuum, but just like what else do you call it? The air?
It's the claim of non-manifestation that's the real problem. That's where the real mind twist comes in.
His question is, when you're talking about space, well, are you talking about length, breadth, and depth?
Yeah.
All right, but you've got counter space, like a fourth dimension, and in pseudo-Riemannian 4 space-time, they've got gravity. They're very similar.
Ether's claimed to be non-Cartesian, which would be length, breadth, and depth.
The biggest problem is no one can tell us what it is. And that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, the fact that
But are
everything
they
else must be
saying that
hijacked.
ether is the length, width, and depth where light is quantifiable?
No, they're claiming a non-manifested medium for the propagation of a non-wave.
It's an unnecessary antecedent.
So is length, width, and depth physical?
No.
They're measurable. It's a way of describing the measured 3D reality we live in.
Why are we answering questions? What's length, width, and depth? What's ether?
Yeah,
Is
ether
that what
must
they're
be
saying though? That
non-Cartesian,
ether
which
is
would be
the length,
non-length
width, and depth?
1 second. Can I just say something to this man? Sorry. Ether is claimed to be non-Cartesian. So non-length, width, and depth. Because Cartesian is length, width, and depth.
Good point.
AKA
Thank you.
Unmanifested. But somehow today we got a picture.
But Michelson Morley was claiming that it was Cartesian because they measured the length of the apparatus using the light.
Whoa. What did they... Length, width, and breadth of what?
Of the apparatus they used.
Apparatus? Was the apparatus ether?
No, it was, I think, steel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Or
the question
concrete.
is, that's what I'm asking. Why are we going off on different tangents? What the fuck is ether? Simple. It's a simple question. What is it? Not to you, to general. I'm not bitching at you.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking, is ether maybe just length, width, and depth?
No, that's
what I
length,
think.
width, and depth.
You would have to ask the people that believe ether. Because
No,
as you
length,
can
width, and
tell,
depth.
we've been asking the same question.
No, chocolate. No, length, width, and depth is length, width, and depth. What we classify as space. That's not ether. It's space. Two different words.
But when something happens there, like light doing work or being quantified,
yeah,
like when you send that light beam to your detector,
yeah,
that's happening within a space.
yes, and
so, and then
ether.
So people trying to understand ether is like, well, what is that space? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, yes.
I didn't hear.
He's saying,
was
what
that a
is the
question?
space? He's asking what the Euclidean dimensions are, right? He's saying, what is that space? And now you interjected at the exact right moment, which got a laugh when you said, well, therefore ether, right? Well, yeah, that's the choice you can make. You can presuppose that your length, breadth, and depth have actually got a medium contained within, because if you vacate that particular length, breadth, and depth in a vacated chamber called a vacuum, then the light still travels through it. Therefore ether. You could assume that, or you can just say that there's light traveling.
It's the attribution of the unknown. That's what's driving it. It's the attribution of the unknown.
Can I make a comparison to the claim of ether with a vacuum? There's no such thing as zero vacuum, right? Even in heliocentric space, they still don't claim zero, right? So the claim that light needs ether, this medium they're calling ether, to propagate through a vacuum, right, is equivalent to me claiming that all that is necessary within that vacuum is one air molecule for light to propagate through it. And my claim is actually more...
Okay, how about this, Brian? I like it, but I'm going to refine it one step. So if I say that sound is the propagation of a wave through a medium, and because air has got gaps between it, there's no physically connected joined medium for the sound to travel through. It must travel through a liquid, because then it's got the bonds needed for the wave to propagate through. Right? That's the equivalent. Saying there's got to be something here for this to propagate through. only because I say it needs something to propagate through.
Well, yeah, I mean, me claiming that that all that light needs to propagate through a vacuum chamber is just one air molecule, which there will always be within that vacuum chamber because it'll never be at zero. So my claim, I actually can prove air exists. So my claim is more prevalent than the claim of ether, because I can actually show air does exist. So even though my claim is complete nonsense, it's more validatable than ether. And we breathe when we sleep, so therefore dreams. So air. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, if I decide light needs a medium, then we're going to presuppose that it's got a medium and it's called ether. It's not that I'm presupposing it needs one.
Yeah, but I can actually prove air exists. I can show you air, I can prove air.
But then you're kowtowing to their assumption that it needs a medium, and that you're sort of going along with the idea that air is that medium. And yeah, it does need a medium. And in this instance, in even 10 to the minus 8 or whatever it is they can achieve here, vacuum, it's still got a bit of air in it, therefore it's still got a bit of medium that you're presupposing it needs to overcome your argument. It's like, why beg the question with them? Doesn't need a medium. What are you talking about? Why are you presupposing it requires this medium? Oh, well, because of the non-manifest dielectric medium, the shown. It's like nonsense. It's just embarrassing at this point. I don't see why you need to beg the question with them and say, well, yeah, there's always going to be a bit of air in there.
No, my point being is that, no, I'm not begging the question with him. I think you kind of misunderstood me there. My point being is me claiming that there's one air molecule is all that's necessary to be in that vacuum chamber, just one, for light to propagate through it, is more validatable than their claim of ether.
I've got you. If you make it as a claim, it's even more sensible to make that as a claim, false though it is, than their claim that it needs ether. You saying, well, I'll just make the claim that if there's only one gas particle in there, it can traverse it as a medium. It's like, that's got more validation? Yeah, you're right. It's not true either, but it's got more validation than their claim.
Yeah, it's absolute nonsense, but it's less nonsense than the claim of ether. That's,
yes,
you breathe when you sleep, so there's air again, so that's why you're seeing, light in your sleep. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I get you now. I had misunderstood you. Yeah, I get you now. It's less nonsense than their claim.
It's absolute nonsense, but it's more nonsense than their claim. Is that what you said?
Brian is slightly less nonsensical.
It's less nonsense than their claim.
Look, why would you think that if you take air out of, or you evacuate air out of a chamber, that the light couldn't propagate it, unless you had some idea that space, imaginary space, is black because there is no thing, or there's too much space, or no material for light to propagate through. Like, that's the only reason you would think that, is if you were thinking about space and how black it is.
Yeah, I agree. They've got it. The reason we've had this fed to us at the Feast of Nonsense is so that it can contrast space and gravity.
Actually, ether is the flat earther's dark matter.
Yeah, well, that's part of gravity, though, isn't it?
It's the way out for their gravity claim.
Yeah, it's the nonsense they created to explain the nonsense that they already created, which is gravity.
It's the imbalance that gravity leaves them with needs explaining because of the missing mass in the universe. So they explain it with the non-manifest mass, right?
Yes.
Which is dark matter.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yep.
I think this may even link back to the physical earth, like the dirt and the ground, because there's a big debate about the mapping of the earth and how light interacts with the earth may give us some answers about our realm, or because the light goes around around the earth and gives different time zones. I don't know, I'm just kind of brainstorming.
There's a lot to think about after Ether's been taken away. I understand.
Well, because I mean, we don't have a map that really works with the light that we, the globe model will claim light only works with the globe, and it has to be parallel light rays.
You'd be surprised. The time and date uses, let me get this right, North Pole centric azimuthal equidistant projection of the Mercator, which is a projection of a globe onto a cylinder, which is a projection of a celestial sphere from a flat Earth. Okay, it's just got all that disclaimed. Brilliant. Well, that map, that azimuthal equidistant projection, North Pole centric, doesn't actually work that badly. It does work quite well with the time and date. That's probably why they used it. But that's what it was designed to do in the first instance. If you look at some versions of the, I've forgotten the name of it now, but there's a particular type of azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric that has a ruler that comes out from the middle. Has anybody seen that before?
Gleason's?
You're talking about the Gleason's?
That's the one. Gleason's.
Yeah, Gleason.
There you go. Gleason's. But that's what it's designed to do. So that's why the Gleason's has got a picture of a sun and a moon above it on the map itself. But if you track it, which we did, one of the first things we did when I got here was got together with everybody around the plane, so to speak, and track the sun to see if it's actually matching with the time and date map. And we just tracked it in real time. But I think there was only 2 exceptions. It was within an hour. So in those 2 exceptions, it was solar noon that was out by an hour. So where time and date said there was going to be solar noon, it was ahead an hour.
Yeah, the celestial sphere map, right, is a great flat Earth map, but it's a flat Earth map. That's, I think, where a lot of the confusion is coming from, especially on the globe side.
Can I point it out? All the time, the oceans was flat in reality.
What was the first bit?
I'm saying all the time with the sun was doing, oceans was flat all the time. Whatever map was.
Yeah, they all have to end up flat. But obviously there'd be a big problem if you just had flat Earth maps and no justifiable reason for why they weren't spherical in the first place. It's like, why isn't this map a globe? Oh, well, it's a cylindrical projection, so we can roll it up and lay it out flat. And that cylindrical projections come from a globe. And then you just leave the sentence there. You don't say, well, the Haversine formula was used to translate the celestial sphere model, which is a flat plane, by way of elevation angles, to this sphere that you'd be inside, concave, if you were ever using any angle measurements. So we project out a new map from the flat plane, so we can stand inside it, and later transpose our position by way of parallel lines up to the surface, so we're standing on it rather than in it. And then we project that map onto a cylinder, and then we roll that map out flat.
How did we get on maps?
Because I was thinking that ties into the light. If you go to maps.descarteslab.com, they have what's like Landsat satellite imagery, where they take pictures of the Earth and they just impose them all together, so it matches. And when you zoom out, it's like a Mercator map, or like a whatever the military map they use is for
Universal Transmercator.
Yeah, UTM.
But
but when you zoom out on those satellite imagery,
satellites,
and I believe in, I mean, the definition of satellite, it could be anything up in the air,
Fair enough.
balloon, or whatever. But
But if that satellite make a picture from the curved water, that means that curved water should be also on the ground.
Yeah,
no, it's not curved.
He still didn't explain the connection between the ether and maps. That's what I was trying to fish
Well,
for.
because you take a picture and then they stitch all those pictures together. I'm not saying this picture is a globe. If you go to maps.descarteslab.com,
Still, how does that connect?
Because you're looking at it with light.
Because I'm looking, so I can connect anything. Right, I got a fingernail. Why didn't you bring up fingernails? I can see fingernails.
I'm not saying it's ether. I just
Is there air near this map?
What's ether?
I don't know.
How about
To be clear, I don't think this guy is fighting for ether, so I don't think that's where he's coming from. Unless I'm wrong.
He was quizzing.
I didn't say he was. I just said he made a poor transition.
He was asking what how Michelson-Morley was claimed to be relevant to the claim of ether. That's the original. That was his opening gambit. But I don't think because he was asking because he wants to defend ether. He was just curious how Michelson-Morley is claimed to prove ether. That's what I think his question was.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't think he's fighting for it. He's just asking about it.
When you navigate in a commercial jet and you fly across the Earth, and you're using this technology from the interferometry to know your location, and that's what GPS
It doesn't give you
is,
that.
correct?
We covered
It's
this.
just
It doesn't.
the use of radio.
Stop. We covered this. It does not give you that. How does I can't even say the word. How does a ring laser gyro give you your location?
It gives you your location through timing.
Altitude.
So when you start off at a reference point at the airport and you take off, and then you have those numbers calculated, and as you fly through the air, it can calculate where you're at above the Earth.
I see. So on the ground,
You need a map.
Hold on. Oh. So on the ground,
You need a map.
Let's try for a third time. So on the ground, you set your references. How do they get those?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they get those from? From the gyro, right?
The reference horizontal.
Matt, can you please?
And a compass as well.
Oh, we need a compass.
So if you look at,
I didn't get a yes. I didn't get a yes.
Yes, you use a compass. We use.
Oh, right.
Compass.
So the gyro is actually referencing a compass. So before we do anything with the gyro, we need the compass. It's a bit of a downgrade, really. So you still need your compass.
I've been yeah, you need a compass to navigate.
So what we really need then is a compass, not a gyro. We need a compass. That's how you set up your gyro, with the compass that you needed. Without the compass, it would be useless, would it not? So really, what we actually need isn't interferometry, or however you say it. It isn't ring laser gyros that we need. It's a compass, isn't it? Yes.
But they're doing two different things. If one thing that I found interesting looking at the satellite imagery,
I didn't get any acknowledgement, so we're moving on. Why is that? Why is that? I take apart your utter horseshit that somehow it's used for finding your position. It isn't. A compass is used for that. No acknowledgement, just move on. No, it isn't used in that way. What it is used for is after it used the far more useful and applicable tool of a compass that a gyro is not. It needed it though, didn't it? It's not a compass. It required a compass to set it up in the first place. So what I'm going to extract from that is not that the Michelson-Morley has offered anything more than a downgrade to a compass. That's what they've actually done, because we needed a compass to get their tool to work. Without the compass, it's useless. So I'd like that to be acknowledged, because you're under the apprehension that it's useful for navigation. No, compass that is useful for navigation. A compass, not a Michelson-Morley ring laser gyro. Unless you use a compass to set it up with, then you make it useful because you had a compass.
A compass won't keep you level, though. A compass will just keep you oriented toward the north.
And being level is where you are, navigationally speaking, is it?
When you're flying a plane, you don't want to fly into the ground.
No, that's not what I asked, though, is it? Navigationally speaking, being level is really useful, or in terms of your navigating, as opposed to not crashing a plane?
Yeah, you have to, I don't know.
Yeah, compass, mate, compass.
You have to be level to fly.
Yeah, you need a compass. You just need that bit that you seem to keep skipping past, acknowledging, in terms of this downgrade offered by a ring laser gyro. Downgrade.
Use both.
You could use both. Could you use one? Just a compass? Definitely yes. Could you just use the ring laser gyro? Definitely not. Just need that acknowledging, because you're under the misapprehension, I'll say it for a third time, that somehow it's a useful tool for navigating. No, it's made useful by a compass.
They are useful apart from a compass, because it gives you your position that a compass cannot give.
It gives you your orientation, not your position.
Sorry, no, orientation isn't position.
Your orientation.
That's not your position, though, is it? Navigationally speaking, that's the fourth time I've said it, and it's stressed it more and more every time I've said it. Navigationally speaking isn't your orientation in space.
Well, you can't navigate if your orientation's off.
Is he just thick?
Can we get to Cuddles the pirate? He's come back. He boot scooted earlier. What's Aether, Cuddles the pirate?
One thing that I found interesting, and it ties into the
come off moot
north and south.
Okay.
Sorry, Guy, I know you want to breeze past me repeating something 6 times and never once acknowledging it. I know that you want to seem to infer that Michelson-Morley and ring laser gyros somehow have the answers or are useful. They're not, right? Gyroscopes are useful and compasses are useful, okay? Now, you can make a gyroscope useful in terms of its orientation if you utilise the benefits of a compass first, as you described to me. Now, that's 7 times I've said it. We're not going to whistle past this. It's never going to happen. We're not going to just go on to your next subject. I expect you to now acknowledge, given you're asking us about the usefulness of Michelson-Morley and infratorometry and gyro compasses, right? That's what you're asking us, and we're telling you.
Their use proves their usefulness, that they're used in every international flight and all air navigation and military vehicles. I mean, that's
shut the fuck up.
Proof they're useful.
They're used for orientation, not navigation. Why don't you understand that?
Don't they go together? Orientation and navigation?
No.
You can't separate.
No. If I'm lost,
so
knowing you don't need to talk. You asked a question which I am going to answer without you talking through the answer. Is that possible? Shut up. No, if I'm lost, yeah, what I need is a map and a compass. What I don't need is to know which way my head is pointing, whether or not I'm upside down or lying down. Yeah, that's you talking through me again, is it, my friend? Yeah, you asked a question, I'm answering it for the second time. I realise that you think orientation and positional data are somehow connected, despite me pointing out that they're not 6 times. Yeah, I realise. Yeah, your orientation in space doesn't help you if you're lost. Knowing which way you're lying down or standing up, that doesn't help you. Do you understand now?
I understand your claim. You're claiming that orientation does not matter in regards to navigating.
Did I say orientation doesn't matter? Was that the words I used?
I'm trying to understand.
Did I say that? Are you trying to understand something I didn't say? I said that your orientation, that would be whether or not you're standing up or lying down, by example, will not help you if you are lost. Now, gyroscopes help you with your orientation. If you were holding a gyroscope, you could quickly identify whether or not you are lying down or standing up based on which way the cage was pointing, in regards to the fixed reference of the gyroscope. That would be quite useful for finding out whether or not you were sat or lying or on your head. Yeah, very useful. It doesn't help you find where the hell you are, though, does it? That gyroscope. Or ring laser gyro, for that matter. Or any gyro. It just gives you your orientation in space, not your position. 8 times.
I agree with that. I don't understand why you're trying to divorce.
Because you're asking us how this isn't useful when it's an advancement in technology. That's how you phrased it. And we're saying, number one, no, this is definitely not an advancement in technology. It's just a gyro. Then you tried to pander to how much better it was in technological terms because of its ability to find your position, which it can't do. Now, why this is being discussed is because it's also simultaneously linked to the claim of Aether.
I guess I'm trying to, flat Earth is a boggling thing for me, and it's been enlightening as well. I've learned a lot. When I look at maps that are this satellite imagery, and you see the lines.
Right, Guy, why is it that I've made 8 attempts for you to make some acknowledgement of the fact that you've made a stupid claim that I've proven wrong, but you want to brush past it and move on constantly? It just gets frustrating. Right, you brought this up asking us about Michelson Morley. Do you think I want to listen to you babbling on about what you think about Flat Earth now? No, I want to stay on the topic you brought up. You asked us about Michelson Morley, didn't you?
I was wondering how it's...
Yeah, I don't need you to paraphrase what you asked. That's what we're addressing. Not your feign wandering off into the weed shite that you just started nattering on about. No, mate. The Michelson Morley gyroscope doesn't help you prove Aether. Nor is it in any way whatsoever a technological advancement. It's just gyroscopic motion, which was already established and already proving useful for orientation prior to this interferometry version of the same thing. So this doesn't help you prove Aether. That was why it was originally brought up.
I'm not trying to prove Aether.
That's why you asked about it.
Because I was trying to prove...
Yeah, so you were trying to ask about how it proves Aether then? Yes, you were, you irritating little prick. Yeah, I don't need a stony silence when I identify that you brought this up, linked it to Aether, asked us about how it linked to Aether, and then tried to purvey the qualities of its technological advancements. Now, we've unpicked every little bit of that now, my friend. You just won't acknowledge it despite the fact I've been through it 9 times with you. You want to move on. And I don't want to do that. I'd like some acknowledgement from the guy who brought it up. Maybe a thank you.
I appreciate the discussion. Thank you.
You appreciate that it doesn't help you with... You appreciate it's not an advancement on a gyro?
That a ring laser is not an advancement.
A ring laser what? Sorry, a ring laser what?
Gyro.
So it's just a gyro then? So it's a gyro? We already had those.
I'm not
yeah, we
that.
already had those. So it's not an advancement, it's just a gyro. As far as I can establish, a shit gyro, because they drift. They exhibit a property that they shouldn't exhibit, fundamentally undoing the properties of gyroscopes, as far as I can ascertain. They've been tested by apparently reliable flat earthers who showed that they drift, making them useless. Now, mechanical gyros, they don't have that problem. They don't drift. I've seen that demonstrated by other, let's call them also competent flat earthers that show they don't suffer that problem. Now, they are also used on planes. They get caged at the beginning.
So if they're useless, why do they use them?
Sorry, does it prove Aether? Does it answer your question that this is nonsense and not a technological advancement, nor science, nor proving Aether? As that's what you asked about.
I'm not understanding why you're saying...
You don't understand all of a sudden when it's down to you conceding that this doesn't prove Aether, isn't useful for proving Aether, isn't a technological advancement, it's just gyroscopic motion, which we already had. You asked about its connection to Aether, though, didn't you? But now suddenly you're all confused? What, because I'm asking you to concede that it doesn't prove that?
I'm not claiming that it proves ether.
You asked about how it was claimed to, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I asked.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So now that we've explained it, given that you asked about it, you appreciate, given that you asked about its connection to ether, how it absolutely does not prove that, and is no more in a technological advancement state, if you want to call it that, technology, not science. You understand that? None of it's been acknowledged. Every time it gets to the acknowledgement, this is 9 attempts, you want to move on. Suddenly you're a bit hazy. I don't get it. You denied that you're even here to claim ether when you were the one asking about the connection to Michelson-Morley.
I
don't want a question from me. I want an acknowledgement that it doesn't prove ether. Michelson-Morley, a parlour trick, isn't some technological advancement. That's what I want from you. 10 times.
I don't know why. So it obviously is a technological advancement, and it's
They drift. Do you understand that gyros, in their very basic premise, aren't supposed to drift? Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Bob Nodell showed that they drift. So that's a backward step, considering it's supposed to remain fixed in space. If it's drifting, then it's useless.
Then how do they use them?
Don't ask me something. Just accept and understand that something that is designed not to drift, if shown to drift, is violating the principle it's supposed to be upholding, therefore useless. Do you want to acknowledge that?
So how can
Why are you asking me something? Why is it that every time I lay down a devastating point, you start quizzing me? Do you understand that it's a backward step for something that's not supposed to drift to exhibit a drift?
I guess I would have to talk to the engineers and how they implement that technology, because it's obviously useful.
But it's been demonstrated to have drift. That's a fault.
Apparently they correct for that somehow.
Sorry, you're saying they claim to correct for the drift exhibited in this backward step gyroscope?
Why are they? I mean, it's not a question for you, really. It'd be for an aerospace engineer. Why do they use ring laser gyroscopes if they're so useless?
I'm saying that if they display drift, they are useless, because that violates the very premise of what they're supposed to do.
I mean, do you acknowledge that they're used in every aircraft that's modern?
For what?
For orientation and navigation.
Orientation. We're not denying that. That's good. That's great. What's your point? Where's the ether?
I'm not claiming that it's proving ether. I was curious.
What is your claim exactly?
Okay, it isn't proving ether. You're not claiming it, and it doesn't. Jolly good.
Thanks.
I wasn't claiming that.
Okay, thanks. Are you done? Or are you going? What's your claim?
You asked for the connections. We told you.
So the orientation, what I was saying a little bit, I wasn't trying to just evade you, Nathan, was that it could be linked to mapping and antipodes, because orientation does have to do with being right side up or laying down. And
so what? What's your claim?
What the hell?
We already know this. What is your claim?
Why are you yelling at me?
Oh, God, because I'm frustrated with you saying the same thing over and over and over again without a point.
It's a discussion about
He said that satellites going around and making some pictures. That means that
No, I
pictures
didn't say it's satellites going around.
Oh,
there is
you
such
said
a thing that's called satellite imagery.
Oh, God, here we go again. All right, shut up.
Obviously, I'm not contributing.
Cuddles the pirate. Yeah, you're not.
So
I'm going to shut you up then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need a point. So when you have a point, come back. Cuddles the pirate. Time to come off moot, ether believer.
Be nice to Cuddles. Cuddles is a good guy.
Put your flag in that hill. Yoo-hoo! Cuddles the pirate. Hello.
Did you hear what I said? I said
no,
nice
I didn't. Go ahead.
Be nice.
Be nice?
Yeah. Cuddles.
I am nice. How was I not nice?
Oh, you gotta do the outsiders. I'm never nice.
Come in and support your claim. Chat skank. Well, you're already in. You're just on moot.
What was his claim?
Ether.
Just Ether.
Yeah, Ether exists. And he was, if I go all the way back up, boy, that was a long time ago. When I first came in, when I first started talking, he boot scooted. So he was juxtaposing Ether with thoughts, mind. I think he said the sun and the moon. Hold on oh, man, I missed it. He said the sun, wind, sun, moon manifest, but they're not physical.
I'll give him a minute, see if he responds. If not, I'm going to round the show up.
Can I say something, Nathan?
Yeah,
quickly?
go ahead, Brian.
Just to fill up the air, to see if Coils comes in. What you were stating earlier, for those that didn't seem to understand it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to be very straightforward to me, was if Bob Nodell is claiming the gyroscopes drift, and the drift he says that was experienced, right, is a drift of the ether, right, that means that all ring laser gyroscopes, or all light gyroscopes within airplanes and whatever else, they all drift as well. But the other lad there was stating, well, they use them in airplanes. But what he wasn't stating is they don't drift. He didn't say they don't drift, because that would be in violation of the Ether claim and Michelson-Morley. So either they drift constantly in airplanes or they don't. It's very simple.
Yeah, they don't. That would violate their usefulness.
Yeah. Exactly. So what is it that Michelson-Morley or Bob Nodell or whoever else is claiming to have measured with this drift that doesn't happen when they're used in the everyday world?
Right, it's quite useful.
What is all this nonsense?
Quite useful, though, isn't it? If you've got flat earthers talking about the drift they experience in a Michelson-Morley claim that's ether, and you've got globe believers arguing in the drift that you experience from the non-inertial turning reference frame, then you've got two sides that are arguing about the drift that exists. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, there isn't any drift. Exactly. But yet, we've got a whole faction of flat earthers that argue for drift in gyros. That sounds suspiciously familiar to the globe Earth claim that there's drift in gyros at 15 degrees an hour because Earth's turning beneath them. Oh yeah, that was precisely what Bob Nodell was trying to debunk when he apparently confirmed that ring laser gyros are useless because they drift. But that's caused by ether. Isn't that amazing? So it's just the complete opposite claim that was originally made by the globe earthers, now being made by flat earthers with the same context, and a rearrangement of the affirming the consequent fallacy that's used in that claim. Wow. A bit like boats falling over an edge and finding a dome.
Yeah, and none of them have any phenomena to support the claims. Because, as you were trying to point out, but your opponent wasn't willing to concede on, these things are not drifting in airplanes. Ring laser gyroscopes aren't drifting because they would become useless if that was the case.
So it's only Bob's gyro that drifts, so we can claim that there's a drift from the ether. Nicely and beautifully paralleling drift from turning Earth. Well, let's argue about this in a false dichotomy. How incredibly handy to those who want to oppose and conquer.
Yeah, let's argue for the same thing they're arguing for, that we don't have any evidence for and no phenomena to support.
I call that the burning unicorn fart fallacy.
So I put Cuddles the Pirate's exact comments in Master B for you, Nathan. It says, dreams are energy manifest, so, and wind, sun, moon, stars all manifest, but they're not physical. Wind is not physical.
So it's the non-physical physical, it's the manifest non-manifest, it's the seeing the non-seen.
It's incorrect because dreams are energy unmanifest. They are the example for you to actually go and manifest. They are decision makers. Dreams are decision makers. Hilarious, though.
Wait, wind is not manifest?
I just want to point out that...
What?
Go on, Brian.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to point out that when you're dreaming, you're breathing air. We look at the sun and the moon through air. Wind has air in it. It is air. So air is what they're really air. Yeah, I'm claiming air.
You think it's air? Ether is air?
No, air is air. There isn't an ether, it's air.
Air is air.
Yeah.
On that profound note, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ Panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, smashing the thanks button, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!